And we're live.
We're live. That's right, everybody. Welcome back to another Thursday night extravaganza. That's right. You are tuned in, locked and loaded with the one, the only PM in the PM Pong and Mav in the PM on your Thursday night, your favorite place to be. If I catch any of you traders over at 3-Bit stream right now, I'm going to talk to you all later, okay? No, I'm just joking. Shout out to the brother 3-Bit. He is also live right now doing his Ask 3-Bit segment over there, so he's having a good time. But we're going to have a great time right here. Tonight, it is March the 23rd, 2023. Mav and I have been checking out the Future Game Show. Man, we love these shows. I don't know why people don't watch them more. There's a lot of good stuff that come out of these, and this is still going. It's been over an hour. They show a ton of games. Of course, a lot of it's PC, but we're doing that in the background as well. But I hope you're all having a great night. Chat, you're all looking beautiful as always. Thank you for joining us. So let's get right into it because we do have a busy news week this week, and we got a lot to talk about. A lot of different things going on, both community-wise and, of course, gaming news-wise. So let's get to my favorite co-host, the one, the only. Actually, he's my only co-host, so whatever. He gets the favorite title
on this show.
That is, it's on the show. That's the one, the only, the CEO of Fun Speculation Network, Fun Speculation, aka Mav himself. What's going on, brother? How you been? How's your week? What you been doing?
Not much, man. How you doing, darling? You doing pretty good?
Yeah, I'm doing good, darling.
Yeah, man. I got to play some games this week, which was nice.
Ooh,
I don't know if you
shocking.
saw that. I do know you saw this because you were DMing me about it.
Yes.
I spent some more time in the world of Anno 1800 on console on Xbox with taking advantage of that free week of gold. This is definitely a game I'm going to be purchasing. I did run into a few bugs.
Did you? Okay.
One was the graphical thing that was happening. There was like it reminded me of the Battlefield 2042 beta graphics.
Oh damn, I haven't had one of those yet.
Yeah, it was like artifacting everywhere and stuff. However, I just restarted the game, it went away. Man, the other thing I say, they need to do a little bit more on the tutorial side with that game, just slightly.
I had to look up some stuff. I ain't gonna lie, because there was some spots I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah, I was talking to Psycho, who happened to be playing at the same time. He sent me a party invite because he saw I was playing that, and he was helping me a lot, and then I was kind of helping him back a little bit, but definitely got more help from him than I was able to help him out. But
that's not shocking.
It is so glorious though. Still,
yes,
you know what I mean.
Beautiful.
Like it is. it is like here's the thing. If you can do a game like that as well as they have done on console,
Yes.
there's no excuse for any strategy game to ever not come to console, because that thing is in depth as in depth gets, right?
Yes.
That now, being that said, they could do a little bit more with the tutorial side for the controls for console and kind of help you with the resource stuff and everything. But it is pretty damn amazing, man. Could deal without the story stuff. Right.
Really? I like the story stuff.
You like the story stuff?
I love the campaign. Yeah, I do.
I like the campaign. It's just a lot of the story stuff I was skipping. Right.
Well,
but
it's short and sweet. It's not this drawn out. I just thought the characters were interesting and the acting was actually decent.
Yeah, the voice acting was really good. I just didn't really care about it. I just wanted to build shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they got a sandbox mode for you.
Yeah. Which is what I originally tried to start with the other day. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I need to do the campaign, you know. Yes. But that was enough to let me know how amazing it is. Besides that, I've been still into Wolong, man.
Man, look at you.
Yeah, I've been playing it when I've been on podcast. that's awesome. Sometimes my time to game is like when I'm sitting there as a guest or something, like when I, waiting for my turn to speak or whatever, I'll just sit there. And again, I love that game, man. I don't know what it is about it, but I think it's something with the combat and the systems that they have in place with that really speaks to me more than traditional Souls games. And but besides that, man, just been kind of doing this and that. We've still been on our Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul binge. We went through all of Breaking Bad. We went through, we watched El Camino, and now we are officially on season 6. The last season of Better Call Saul.
Wow.
So we're on the stretch run. This is the final season. Once we finish this, there's no more. And I'll be a little sad. I know Kate will be when it's over. But then when that's over, we'll jump right into Ted Lasso and watch the new season of that. Man. So it's been some good stuff to watch. I got to catch up on The Mandalorian as well. But yeah, been pretty good, man. What about you? You've been playing old ass games again? Or are you onto some of this new stuff?
No. A little bit of everything. Actually, 3 main games this week. Actually, have kept myself again still rocking Mass Effect Andromeda. Still getting my space on. I actually got to post some screenshots. That game can be so beautiful in areas. It's ridiculous how bad the writing is. I say this every time I talk about this game, but honestly, what they did visually with some of the areas is so freaking amazing. It is absolutely gorgeous, and then it can just suck. It's such a weird experience going through it again, or going through it this far now, because this is the furthest I've been in this game. I picked it up many times. So still rocking out Mass Effect Andromeda, having a good time, even if I just shake my head and just like, why did they do this? It still gives me the space sci-fi experience that I've been looking for, because I'm so hyped for Starfield. So having a good time with that still. And then Civ 6, which came out into Game Pass. Yeah.
I've been wanting to dive into it. I just haven't had the time yet, man.
Bro, it's been so long since I've played a Civ game like this. I'm not going to lie. I'm not good right now. I'm getting better. But compared to like the 360 days of Civ Revolution, which I freaking loved and just played mass amounts of hours along with my kiddo on that game. Loved Civ Revolution. But I haven't picked up a Civ, like I said, like this deep in a long time. And so I'm learning. And it takes a lot to learn. But I've already had a couple 3.5-hour matches against the computer, against the AI. Haven't really found my favorite leader yet. I've been just kind of doing a play now function and letting it pick for me, and been going to town. I will say I'm a little surprised at the reviews, even the new reviews on that game. The only reason why I haven't picked it up, it's been on sale a billion times for cheap. Like we're talking $8-9 for the base game. The only reason why I didn't pick it up is because I kept reading even the new reviews, and people were still saying it was having some major issues with crashing constantly once you get up into the 100 turn range.
Right.
Well, I've now had 3 games, I want to say 3 or 4 games, where I've gone 200 plus rounds with 0 crashes so far. So I don't know where people are seeing this because I've been reading the reviews and people are like, no, Series X still crashing. I've had zero issues on Civ 6. So I'm having a blast with it. Again, I'm not good right now. It's crazy how much I forgot about it, how much I forgot about Civ and how to play it. But I've been having a fantastic time. It's so much fun. It's just such a great experience if you love strategy. So I've been doing that, and then Anno 1800. I've been rocking Anno 1800 as well, moving forward in the campaign. Not as much as I've been playing Civ 6. I've been most of the time in Civ 6, but right. I have played some Anno 18 and moving forward in the campaign. Game, like you said, Mav, is just absolutely drop dead gorgeous. It's drop dead gorgeous. It's complex, but after you play it for about an hour, again, the controls are well done. Like I said, they're not the most intuitive when you begin, but after that, it gets a lot easier. And you get used to them. And I'm just having a great time in Anno 1800. I do want to play some multiplayer with you. I want to check that out and see how that goes. But what a great game. Like you said, strategy games, Mav. Again, you hit me in the DMs joking that we should just do a whole strategy game show. And I think later this year, we're going to have to.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about with that stuff.
And more coming out, like the future game show. Like there's been a couple tonight that both you and I are like, oh yeah, okay.
Tactics games, especially.
Yeah, tactics games, strategy games, all of it. RTSs. We're having a hell of a year. We haven't even gone back to H2 in a while. We got to go back to H2. I've been missing that a little bit as well. But other than that, you know what we should talk about, Mav, because it's kind of part of the topic because we're getting another weekend here, is the Diablo beta, because we crushed the Diablo beta.
Yes, we did.
we absolutely destroyed that beta. I played more hours in that beta than I thought I would, even though it's my second most anticipated game. I did not think I was going to hang out in that beta last weekend.
So addicting.
It's so addicting. So Friday night, obviously, we had the issues. They had all the connection issues and all that kind of stuff. And for anybody who doesn't know, last week it was closed beta. Reminder, this weekend is the open beta. So if you want to try it out, this is going to be your weekend. Rod Ferguson already came out on Twitter today, along with a couple other individuals from Blizzard, and said, hey, we're setting expectations.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they didn't do this prior to the closed beta. I don't think they were planning on the closed beta being as big as it was. Side note, they posted those stats this week as well. Over 1 million people hit level 20 or above to get that baby wolf backpack. for the live game. Over 1 million people though played the closed beta.
That's impressive.
And hit over level 20 or plus.
That's right? That's 500,000 chicken sandwiches sold and 500,000 pre-orders.
But the fact that they got to level 20 or more, Mav, that's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
That's a big number for a closed beta right there, right?
Because a lot of times when the even if with the regular games releases, when you actually have in that short of span that amount of people achieve so much, it's a very good sign for the game. A lot of people talk about, but so many people launch these games, but they only have like 1% of the achievements unlocked or whatever. Well, like this was pretty substantial amount of players that got deep into it, and there's a lot of people that are going to be into this that didn't even play the beta last week, and there's going to be a lot even more this weekend because there's been a lot of people that we know of that have been holding out to play. For this open beta, the real open beta.
Yeah, the real open beta. Right.
I got to get to this $10 super chat from Alvin. Very generous, Alvin. Hit us with this before we even started, and he has a great question. And maybe we should answer this live on the air right now.
Sure.
He says, with his generous $10, question: will there be a Diablo 4 fun speculation clan? And if so, are you taking applications? Gonna no life it. I'll contribute a lot. Also feels good to have always been on the Redfall train. Well, so that's a two-part super chat. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot into Redfall for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of the clan, so we did start one during the beta. I don't think the clans carry over to the regular release. I'm not sure.
I don't. We have to check. I think they might actually.
I didn't name it Fun Speculation because we were just being silly and with our group that we had trying to figure out how to invite each other to the game, which we figured out is the easiest through the clan menu. So
and set this up, Mav.
Yeah.
Set this up. Because when you go to name things,
it's
it's not usually a good time. It usually takes forever, or you come up with something really stupid.
Right.
And even Caitlin said, "Look, Mav, don't do something stupid."
Which I maybe I did. You know.
No, because we all said Marchers was good.
Right, but we didn't start with Marchers.
No, we did not start with Marchers.
My first one was trying to be silly, and I said Diablo buddies.
Yeah.
But
Diablos. Diablos was another one that came from the chat.
Yeah. And found out that Diablo buddies was actually taken. So then I tried Marchers.
Yes.
And Marchers was taken.
Correct.
So I was in a hurry. We're trying to get to play with each other.
Yeah.
So I just hyphenated Diablo buddies and made DB Marchers, right?
Yep. DB
so,
Marchers,
but I can probably change the name at some point. I don't know if you can or not, but I would probably just change it to Fun Speculation to make it easier for people to find that want to join the clan. But of course, if you would like to join our Diablo clan, you best believe we will also be no-lifing this game. And anybody who watches our shows, anybody who wants to, more than welcome to join in on the fun with the clan, so we can reap all those rewards and benefits together.
Yeah.
Because 100%. The more people you have is the better, because you all contribute.
Just like Division 2.
Right.
When we opened up the Division 2 clan.
Yeah.
We got like 30 people recruited within a couple days.
So if you're interested, everybody, definitely hit us up, and I'll try and make it more clear this weekend when we play on the open beta, because I'm sure we'll be streaming that as well to get people into the clan. But then also he talks about Redfall on that super chat.
Yeah, we'll get to Redfall a little bit for sure, 100%, because the previews came out this week. But Diablo overall, Mav.
Yeah.
Now that you look back at it, that's all I've been thinking about all week. To be honest, I put a post out about it. All these great games, and the only thing I could think about is Mother. I was stunned. Again, the experience opening night wasn't great because of the queues, because of getting kicked out. We were having problems getting in a party. A lot of the issues that I talked about last week had rolled through into Friday night, right? But we had a decent run Friday night. But then Saturday morning is when it really corrected itself. Now, I didn't have living split screen last weekend, which, again, shout out to my brother Steele, who is going to join the open beta. It sounds like he made out a tweet today. So Steele's going to be jumping in for the first time into Diablo.
And he was a holdout. He said he was not going to be playing this weekend
because he doesn't want to crave it.
Right.
And he knows how good this game is from us. So he knows he's going to crave it until June. But Saturday morning, so I slept in a little bit, rare occurrence where I get to sleep in a little bit, and thought I was going to have some stuff to do. Wound up just doing a little bit of it, and then I said, F it. And I sat down, and nobody else at the time when I popped on, I didn't see anybody else on. So I was like, screw it. I'm going solo. We're starting to level up. So I started leveling up, played for like a couple hours, probably just a little bit after noon, I think I started. And then all of a sudden, Psycho was on. And I'm like, yo, wait, Psycho's on. Psycho hit me up. And I was like, wait, Psycho's on? Cool. So Psycho and I started rocking and rolling. And we did that for a few hours. And then you came on, Mav. And then we got Jasper in. And you guys, I think I was level 17, 18. And I think Psycho was right behind me at 15, 16. And Psycho and I were having an absolute phenomenal time, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And then you guys hopped on. You were both low level.
Yeah, I was like a level 7. He was like a level 6.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, something like that. Both low level. The scaling worked beautifully.
Yeah.
Right? The damage scaling, all that kind of stuff worked beautifully. No matter what levels, it said that, I was hopping in like level 18. When we'd hop into a dungeon, say the enemies were level 18, my damage, but Mav and Jasper were having 0 issues contributing to the battles. It worked flawlessly. And no queues that Saturday either. The queues were down to a minute or under, right? It was working flawlessly. And we played all the way till what? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning?
I think probably around 2, not 2
something. It was like around 2 o'clock. Yeah, it was like around 2 o'clock in the morning. So I put in probably all told, between Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Or when did it go live? It went live Thursday night, right? After PM in the PM? Is that when we first hopped in?
I don't remember. Or was it Friday? I don't even remember.
No, it was Friday. It was
Friday.
Yeah. It was Friday afternoon because it was Xbox Ultimate when we talked. So between Friday and Saturday, because I didn't play it all Sunday, I stayed away Sunday because I was max capped, and I just I had too much other stuff going on. So But I probably put in like 15 hours in like a day and a half, maybe more. It was crazy, man. But we had such a great time. We wound up killing the world boss. We wound up completing that. We wound up taking on one of the fortresses, which were level 25 plus as well. But I gotta say, Mav, this is everything I wanted and more out of Diablo game. This is, I could not have pictured them doing Diablo 4 any better than what they did here. I know there's some people, there's always, with a fan base this large, there's always going to be people who take issue with certain things. I know some people take issues because it looks too much like Diablo Immortal, and some people believe that they took, they just basically transferred a Diablo Immortal UI, especially over, that they didn't do the work to make this a full version, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I don't critique games like that. I don't take that approach to games. What I take approach to, especially with a game like Diablo, is, am I having a great time? Is everything functioning the way that I hoped it would? Did they listen to the major feedback that they got from Diablo 3? And all of those are resounding yes. They've done everything that you could possibly imagine, from taking the atmosphere from 2 and actually taking it even darker than 2. Those cutscenes are movie quality, number 1. Number 2, the writing is freaking ridiculous. And number 3, they've got this jaw-dropping wow to them when you're listening to the actual story. Like, there's a lot of Diablo story that you can skip. This one, I don't want to skip the cutscenes. I want to hear what these people are having to say. So we had nothing but a great time. Go ahead, Mav. Give your ideas of it. What did you think overall?
I put out a tweet, and my feedback to the team was just servers, make sure they work great. Other than that, don't change a damn thing. That's honestly how I felt about it. I mean, I played a lot of Diablo in the past, but I've never been one to just like no life it as much. Back in the day, Diablo 2 and stuff, like my PC just could barely run the thing, and Diablo 3, I bought on like every piece of hardware you could possibly imagine and played quite a bit of it, but I never like went and just got completely consumed in it to go like multiple Paragon levels, all that kind of stuff. It would be something I would like go into, play for a while, hop out. It was like kind of like a go-to casual, fun, mindless experience for me, right? That's kind of how I treated Diablo 3 for a long time. And later, like I think a year or two ago, I went in Diablo 3 and I was like, all right, I'm going to go all in on this thing because, I just love these kind of games. And I went through and I did the whole experience. And I liked, well, after Diablo 2 Resurrected came out, like I got some experience going back to my memories of that game, learning about what I loved about that. And then playing Diablo 3, no lifing it for a little while. I was like, realized what I loved about that. And Diablo 4 for me is like exactly 100% what I could possibly hope for out of Blizzard with the next Diablo game. Because it takes the aspects I've loved of the past Diablos. It takes the fluidness, the controls aspect, and even beyond that of Diablo 3, right? And it puts it in this new package with there's new systems in place and all these different things that is just amazing. And the cutscenes and the story is great. The enemy are just the enemies are really cool, and like a lot of different, very diverse. There's some stuff I've never seen before. Like there's one where like a spider host, like a spider's controlling a person, right? It's like just crazy stuff, man. And I just love everything about this game so far. And I see the influences of, the live service elements put in there for like the instances and all these kind of things that they have going on, where you have random people show up and stuff, and then the world events. And this is something that I feel like is going to consume a lot of my time. And I think I'm going to be completely happy with it. The game for a beta as well.
Yeah.
The amount of content they gave to us was extreme.
Yes.
That map is huge, right?
Correct.
Being able to
They gave you all of Act 1.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of the mounts, like in a couple little things, you had access to everything.
And being able to respec your abilities for little costs and stuff lets you try different things and all this kind of stuff.
Level 15. Up through level 15, right?
No, I was able to respec at 25.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It only cost me a couple thousand.
Okay.
Right.
But it was free. I think it's free up through level 15.
Yeah. But beyond that, it was pretty cheap. So I was messing with different classes for my like sorcerer. I was like, I'm gonna go all in on fire with this. I'm gonna go all in on lightning. I gotta go all in on ice. And man, it's just what an experience for a beta. It besides the day one server issues and stuff,
right?
It ran flawlessly. Blizzard knows. Man, I look like godly right now. This like,
I know. I was gonna say.
Hello. Yeah, I need to shut that window. Yeah, our air's not working right now, so I have a window open.
Showing up there or whatever his name is, the
angel. Diablo is coming.
Yeah. It is.
No. So it just absolutely amazing experience, and man, optimized at the ass, ran flawlessly.
Yes. No matter how many enemies were on the screen.
4 of us going up crazy with our abilities, with our ultimates and everything. And even with the world boss, with all the random people there and everybody doing that stuff, like it just was such a great experience, man. So I can't wait for Diablo. It's 1B to my 1A for Starfield this year. It just in 2023, those 2 games alone would make for an amazing year for me.
Right.
Because those are like generational type games. These are games that we're going to be playing for a decade, possibly.
Correct.
And they're both launching this year, plus everything else that's happening.
Right.
So, man, Diablo, I can't wait. I can't wait to have some fun with everybody this weekend as well, and try the new classes and stuff. And let's go from there, man. Because I think it's gonna be a wild ride. And this is a game that will be updated, and they will keep at it for a long time. And that's one of the best things about this day and age with gaming. With people say, well, I just want you to launch a game and be done with it, and no bugs or like physical media, all that kind of stuff. Like if that was the case, we wouldn't get experiences like this. Right. For me, this is the trade-off to that, because we know going into this what it's going to be right away now, but then we have no idea what this game's going to turn into 3 years from now. No. And that's pretty amazing for me. So respect to Blizzard, who this always happens with Blizzard, right? They before Diablo 3, the same thing. They get down, like it seems like it seems like everything is stacked against them. It seems like they're against all odds, and like they're all these struggles, all these delays, all these issues. Even with Diablo 3 launch, they had a lot of criticisms and stuff with the economy in that game and stuff. But man, do they know how to make a damn good game?
They do.
And when their games launch, it's like none of the stuff happened. You know what I mean? It's like it's crazy. Now they still got some workplace stuff that they need to work on and things like that. But besides that, all the other things going on with there, it's like they're going to be back on the forefront. And to think with the ABK merger and all the talk about Call of Duty, nobody was talking about Diablo. Nobody was even talking about Diablo. And this thing is going to be a monster. It's going to be a monster. What a good get.
They forget, man. It's just like Bethesda.
Just like Starfield.
Everything we talked about. Yeah, it's just because it's not a studio. Call of Duty comes out every year, so it's in the minds of everybody all the time. Games that hang around for 5 years, 10 years between new releases, people forget what that means and what the hype is around those games. And sure, it's a little bit different because it's not a yearly release, and obviously Call of Duty is what it is because it is a yearly release. But these studios that do these games that last, like you said, 5, 10 years with support, those are the studios that come along, and when one of their games drops, everybody goes, oh yeah, this is why. And again, with Blizzard, because of Diablo 3, that obviously didn't come out to the best response. A lot of people didn't like the direction they went. The art direction was too World of Warcrafty. They tried to do, they tried to expand your audience, which again, I understand the hardcore fans. And yes, as a old school Diablo player, I can look and say, I wish some of the stats were a little bit more hardcore. I wish you would even expanded the skill tree a little bit more like Path of Exile. I wish you would have done this. I wish you would have done that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're trying to grow their audience and make it more accessible. And like I said, with Diablo 4, the blend is there between the two. And no, not everybody's going to love it. But do I think this game could be the biggest seller this year? Yeah, I said it on the Shop podcast. I think Diablo 4, when it's all said and done at the end of 2023, yes, even with the Zeldas, yes, even with the Spider-Man 2s, Diablo 4 could be the biggest seller. I believe it will be the biggest seller this year out of all the games. And, again, Starfield is going to be a big seller, but with Game Pass, it's not going to have the numbers that a Skyrim did. It's still going to sell a lot. Now, I'm not talking about player base, right? I'm not talking about number of players. I'm just talking about actual sales. Diablo 4, I think, if it's not showing up in Game Pass, will be the top seller this year. Okay? And that's just from what I experienced, because I think they are going to grab another bigger audience than they even did with Diablo 3, because everybody is going to be playing this game. Everybody is going to be enjoying this game. And I say that figuratively, of course, not everybody is. But what I'm saying is you're going to have so many people jumping into this game because they did such a great job. Now, we had 3 classes. That was the other thing last week. We had 3 classes. There's still 2 more to go, right? The Druid and the Necromancer are opening up this weekend. I played a class I normally don't. Matt played the Sorcerer. I knew he was going Sorcerer, right? So normally I play a magic class, either Sorcerer or Necro. Those are my 2 favorite classes. I went completely different because I knew Mav was going to be the Sorcerer. So I said, okay, fine. I'm going to choose Rogue. I'm not the Rogue type player usually, but in Diablo, it interests me. And I had a freaking amazing time with the Rogue when I got my, and let me also explain too, Psychonauts also was a Rogue. He built his Rogue completely different than mine.
His was like a tank.
Right. Yeah. His was more a melee DPS, right? Yeah. And I had the AoE going with my poison and everything else. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, when Psycho, before you and Jasper jumped in, when Psycho and I were running tandem with 2 rogues, we were clearing out dungeons. Like nobody, like we were laughing because it got so stupid between how our 2 builds fit together as rogues was insane. Like it was perfect. And we were having such a blast. That to me says Blizzard's done this right on top of everything else we talked about.
The balancing is pretty solid.
Balancing is solid. And when you when you make the other character classes that somebody may not normally play fun for them when they hop into it and figure it out, that means you've done a great job. And that means more people jumping in are going to be able to find their class that they enjoy no matter what it is. And they might find something new that they never tried before and say, oh, this is now my class. I'm going to main this class instead. That means Blizzard did an awesome job. And again, we could go on for hours about Diablo because the atmosphere, the level of upgrade to the graphics, and of course, Diablo 3 came out during the 360 generation. So this is 2 generations now. It's unbelievable. The way that they've crafted this world and brought back the darkness and the atmosphere, the music, Mav, the music is unbelievable. When I was playing by myself, I actually turned down the sound effects and turned up the music instead on my headphones. Again, unbelievable in what they create in each and every single different spot you go to. Every single area feels different. When you transition from a snow area to a town area, it feels like, oh, I'm in a new world here. And then when you get out into another area, a foresty type of area or a cavern type area, completely different. The lighting is off the charts. The character designs themselves, what they've done with those character designs after hearing how people hated the Diablo 3 character designs. Oh my God. They look freaking amazing. No, you don't see them up close very often, but my God, they look good. And then the attention to detail throughout the environment and your character's animations. Again, my favorite move is the rogue. I could throw out my whatever I was using as my dual weapons, whether it was my sword, because I mainlined a bow, right? So I would that's what I did, but I still carried a dagger and a sword, right? Or two daggers, whatever. I throw those out, and they would actually disappear from my body as I threw them out into an enemy. And then what they would do is they would actually come back to me like a boomerang, right?
Yeah, and hit
or like
people
Thor's
on the way
hammer.
back.
They would come and they come back, and you could see all this happen on the screen. And on their way back, they're hitting enemies. And once I got high enough level, I was decapitating enemies as those things were flying back. Like I was giggling like a little kid because this was freaking so much fun. So yeah, hats off to Blizzard. Again, I gave them the smoke last week on the shop for the server problems. I don't understand why they have the issues, and I understand now. Back to my original starting point of all this was Ferguson and a couple others were out warning people that this weekend expect queues, expect problems, because they're expecting a large influx of people this weekend. So again, get ready, especially opening night or opening afternoon. It goes live at 12 Eastern time, 12 p.m. Eastern time on Friday tomorrow. So that's when the open beta goes live. So wherever you are time zone wise, it's going to be, you figure it out in your own time zone, but that's when it goes live tomorrow. Expect problems, because last week, Friday, there was major issues, right? So it just expected, but hopefully they're ready. And even if there's problems Friday, by Saturday, just like last weekend, they've got it resolved and everybody can have a great experience for 2 days. Because again, once you get into the game, you don't want to leave this game.
Yeah,
you don't.
And hats off to them for putting a time, the actual clock in the top right corner of the screen, because they know that we will lose track of time playing this game. I got to say one other thing: the sorcerer builds that I had. I tried the fire, I tried the ice, I tried all lightning and stuff, and there's different variations you can even do of these builds, right? Correct. My favorite was the lightning, and after I ended up doing a stronghold by myself on Sunday, because I was kind of soloing on Sunday, and I did the chain lightning and a lightning spear.
Yeah, buddy, that's what I normally do.
Woo, man,
dark side, man, the Emperor.
Oh god, those lightning bolts, and I had armor too and stuff that I had found, the codex that I was able to put the lightning the plus on the chain lightning. So that lightning is just traveling through people, just back and forth, doing massive damage, and you just see like everybody get electrocuted and just like incinerate on the screen, and it was absolutely so amazing, dude. Yeah, and then the ultimate ability that for me, the best one was the I think it's like Frost and Nova or something like that. Because you could sit there and you encapsulate yourself with ice, and it literally takes up the entire screen where it sends this frozen shockwave out and freezes all the enemies around, and then ice ends up cracking and does massive damage on everybody. So amazing. It was, and you can't get damaged while that's happening also. So it's like pretty damn cool. But yeah, that was probably my favorite things for the sorcerers so far. But yeah, man, Diablo
4 is coming. And again, would I have rather had Diablo in September and have Starfield in June? Yes, that's still the case. However, since it's flip-flopped, like I said from the beginning, I was so happy the September date works for Starfield, because now I don't have to skip Diablo, and now I'm even more happy after playing Diablo that I'm not going to have to skip out on it, right? That I'm not going to be up in space not caring that everybody's playing Diablo 4 as I'm traveling space in Starfield. I'm so happy that that's kind of the case now at this point, because Diablo is going to be nonstop. This game, this is the first Diablo where I'm actually, and this is from the beta, which is absolutely insane to me. Like you said, Mav, how much content they gave us in this beta was stupid. Like it was dumb. Like I just kept playing, and I'm like, and I was just like, my God, I can't believe they gave us this much to do in this game. And this is Act 1, and they actually did give us the full act, like I said, outside the mountains.
And that's confidence too.
Yes.
Yeah, because to give that much of something, you know that it's going to be addicting enough and good enough to make people still want to come back even after such a large sampling, right? Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm appeased. I got enough. They gave us way too much. I got to enjoy my time with it. But no, this is they're just giving you enough that's going to really get your hooks in. Because when I'm thinking about all this stuff, right? All the stuff that we've unlocked on the skill trees, you know how much more there is? Like, and it's already badass. It's already that badass, and we got that much more stuff to unlock. What's the level cap? Like 75? Or higher?
50. 50. And then you go 50 and then you go to Paragon.
Paragon. Okay.
Yep. And then Paragon's, I believe, is unlimited. So if they kept it the same as the other one. So yeah.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Endgame is going to make or break this game.
Yeah.
I will say that. And that's the way it is with all action RPG looters like this. I mean, again, Diablo set the bar for everybody, but the end game is where they're going to make their bread and butter. I have the utmost faith in Blizzard that they are going to nail the end game, that they're not going to screw that up because they know how important it is.
With the world bosses, the Paragon levels, the world tiers, the instances, the loot, and I could see this having a great end game. For sure.
Yes. So could I, and I hope they pull it off because that's going to make it. And again, Diablo is going to evolve. It always does. They're going to evolve this over the years. They're going to add more content. I'm sure that rumor that they were cutting content isn't now seeing how big this world is and how full it is just in the beta. I don't doubt that they are cutting content, and I don't doubt they're going to have a ton of content to add back in when they get ready once it launches. But there's so much here. Like I said, I'm not going to sit back and go, oh, would you guys cut? Because I've got nothing else to do right now. That's not gonna happen.
Is there how many acts are in the main game? Is it 3 or
3
acts?
3. Okay. Yep. 3 acts.
Right on.
Phenomenal. And like Mav said, the instances, the world boss, all that felt really natural, running into people and just helping people out. Like you could show up in an instance and somebody was already there, started it, and you could just help out like you could in any other MMO. And it worked flawlessly. And it was great. And then everybody just went on with their business. You got the loot, you got the experience, and you moved on. So I can't wait.
The chat's saying the level cap is actually higher. It's just you can't access it on the first 2 difficulties. Yeah.
I thought I saw that it was 50 and then you go to Paragon. Is it 100? If it is 100 before you go to Paragon.
Jasper said 100.
Okay, well then I'm gonna trust Jasper because Jasper knows his stuff.
Yeah, and
so all right. I thought it was 50 and then Paragon. But okay, it's 100 and then Paragon.
The chat's also saying there may be 5 acts. So I don't know.
Okay.
We'll have to do I don't know. We just played the beta and I'm not one to go to the websites and look at all this stuff. I know that usually there's more acts than 3 in Diablo, but I don't know. Act 1 is really massive, it seems like. It's at least maybe not story wise, but like with the amount of content and side quests and missions to do. You could have had your time only doing side quests for 3 days and still not finish everything.
It looks like let's see here. It looks like, hold on, let me see here if anybody's got the updated. Looks like let's see. Looks like people are saying that there's at least 4 acts.
Okay,
so
4 acts
for sure.
Okay, nobody knows for sure.
Okay, yeah. So it says there's at least 4 acts right now that people are aware of. So
okay.
So no official anything yet, obviously. Otherwise, we'd have like a definitive number. So, all right. Great first topic. Diablo was freaking amazing. Like I said, it's all I could think about all week long. Listen, chat, we got to give some shout outs. We got over 160 people in here. This is insane. Thank you all for joining us. Again, hope you're enjoying the content. I hope you're coming because you love us. We see a lot of new faces week in, week out. Appreciate you all, whether you're here live, whether you're listening to us a week from now, a month from now, or it's 5 years and you want to go back and see the famous duo of Mav and Pong of when they first started and what our show used to be like, So whatever this is, whatever you're listening to it, love you. And thank you for joining us. And thank you for being a part of the show. Shout out to some people here. Unfaithful Billy, what's going on? Great to see you. Sean T, what's going on? Topaz Girl 170, great to see you as always. Tom from Toonami, what is happening, Tom? The Fifth Horseman V is in the house. Of course, one of the OGs, Nix, is up in here. Charlie Hustle, Dark Zone 2525, what's going on? We got TMHW Gaming. How you doing? Great to have you stop on in here. AJH, what's going on? Great to have you a part of the show. BigMADMoe, of course, is in the house. What's going on, BigMADMoe? BigMADMoe says 50 in their Paragon, too. I got to find that out, which way it is. Brother Psychonauts, Speaking of the devil, Diablo, and he appears. What's going on, brother? Decado is in here as always. Alvin already hit us up with that super chat early. What's going on, Alvin? Great to have you a part of the PM and the PM. ShaneG, what's going down, man? Rip Snorta, what's going on? It's Timmy. Is in here. And we got General Spartan 27. Pixel Bit G dropping in to say hi. We got General Spartan 27 always dropping in here. We got Dr. Dinglenut, of course, Talos Re, Sky L. All of you beautiful people jumping in here. There's 3-Bit. He took time out of his own show to drop in here and say hi. What's going on, 3-Bit? Hope you're having a great show, brother. We got Harry Balzac. What's going on, Harry? We got Gander Lad. I almost said Gender Lad. What's going on, Gander Lad? Great to see you in here. Neil B. How's it going? Of course, the one, the only lore master, Jasper. Actually, guys, in here. What's going on, Jasper? We got Fonz Gaming, the great Fonz Gaming dropping in. What's going on, Fonz? Great to have you jump in here and say hi, man. Appreciate you, brother. Great show over, again, RDX. I mean, of course, you got to jump in there. But then you got to go over to Fonz Gaming as well, of course, for Sundays, man. You got to be there. He always has great guests.
GTL.
Calarie. Huh?
GTL.
Oh, did I not say Games Talk Live? I apologize.
No, I'm just.
I was just in the middle of all my stuff and I didn't even say his show. Yeah, Games Talk Live is the show on Sunday nights. GTL, as Mav called it. Who else? Calarie, what's going on? Tony Grasso's in the house. What's going on, Tony? If I missed any of you, anybody? Oh, Jay Remberts, of course, is in here. We got God Emperor SofaKing is in the house as well. Oh, my brother from another Steel Rain dropping in here saying Necro Weekend. Yeah, I know what class Steel's coming in with. He's going to come in with the Necromancer, of course. Yeah. And Vic the Click dropping in here. We got Milky Sweater is in the house. What's going on, Milky Sweater? Great supporter out there. Galveston, what's going on? Great to have you in here as well. Listen, all you wonderful people. Oh, look at this. KY Bob dropping in here, member for 19 months, saying, what's up, fellas? Diablo 4 and Exo Primal betas. 111. Yes, I'm assuming those are supposed to be exclamation points. Exo Primal was also a really fun time.
Surprisingly fun, I think. Yes, if it wasn't for Diablo, we would have been playing that all weekend.
We've been rocking Exo Primal.
Because we were having a blast. Because it launched on Thursday, I think, right?
Yep.
And we played me, you, Steel, Jasper, and Psycho. Yep. I believe were the ones rocking that. And we had a super fun time with that game. We're still curious about the legs it'll have. It depends on the amount of content that they have, but it's a little bit of a unique experience for the kind of hero shooter that it is, right? Yep. I really found it like something that I could spending quite a bit of time in, and that's another big get for Game Pass day one, regardless of what anybody says. But I think more importantly for that game, Exo Primal, it's more important for that game to be in Game Pass than it is for Game Pass to have that game. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because
it's a big W for Capcom, for sure.
I think it's going to help that game find an audience, new IP, kind of quirky thing, right? And it's going to get people to try it that maybe weren't willing to shell out the $40-$50 or whatever it's going to cost. So,
any game that I can get MVP in multiple times.
You're a natural. Automatically gets a vote. I don't know what it is with you. It was pissing me off for like the 2 days that we were playing it. I was last place, like every damn game, like what you played, except for the very last one. I ended up doing way better that one.
You did. You were doing better. You were finding your class because you were switching around. You didn't find your one.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That you really like. That's the problem. So I found the one guy, my first guy that I chose.
Yeah.
The Grenader guy or whatever his name was.
Upon getting like MVP every damn match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not go there. I had a few, but again, I don't see that very often in any other game when I play multiplayer. So I was loving it. I was having a blast with it. But yeah, Exo Primal definitely is a win for Game Pass. But like you said, Mav, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's a bigger win for Capcom to get it in the Game Pass, to try to give that game a chance and give it an audience and see if it can catch on. Because they are trying to sell a Battle Pass. They're trying to do things like that. So
it's so hard for games like this to catch on these days. Because there's so much competition. You have all your standard games that are out there that are free to play as well, that have a similar kind of structure to them, right? Like Overwatch 2 is free to play now. You know, you got your Fortnites, you know, you got Call of Duty Warzone and stuff. This game is not free to play, right?
No.
So whenever you launch a game like that and you kind of have this live service only online type pretty much aspect, I think there is a campaign, but it's
yes, there's supposed to.
what I'm gonna take to this, the campaign's gonna be kind of similar to what you're gonna be doing in the multiplayer. I can just kind of see it in my head, right? But this kind of experience, it's so much competition out there. So when you have a game like that and it's not like a free to play thing, it's hard to get people to try it, right?
Yes.
Because like, why would I pay for something when I can just play this other thing for free, you know? But Game Pass is gonna grant that avenue for 30 million around subscribers to have access to it, and it's a new IP dropping day one from a big time publisher, so it will have some hype behind it and a lot of people trying it out.
I agree wholeheartedly, and again, content is going to be king. I hope Capcom, they are going to have to come up with some different modes and some map variation. You know, because it's otherwise, you know, we were having a great time, but most people will fall off of it if it doesn't have those.
Yeah.
No.
Ooh, an RE engine. Wow.
An RE engine run, and it ran beautifully.
It
had
did.
zero problems partying up. 1,000 Raptors on the screen, no drops.
For all
whatsoever.
the games that have launched with issues here and there with optimization problems and all these things, these two betas dropped this past weekend, and they ran like a dream.
Right.
They really did. Server issues on Diablo. Besides that, though, like, I mean, you're just talking about because millions of people are starving to finally get their hands on Diablo 4.
100%.
And besides that, though, like the actual optimization of the games, how they ran and performed, unless you had a 3080 Ti or whatever, you know, out there,
right?
Magical experience.
Yeah, I saw Jasper's post or the his post about the supposed killing of 3080 Ti's from Diablo 4. That's interesting.
Yeah,
another weird
PC thing,
master race thing.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to worry about that.
Shall we go? Let's jump into the community nonsense this week. Mav,
let's get to our before we get into the potatoes. Let's get to our sponsor.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's right. I almost forgot, and I don't want to forget.
No. Got Manscaped, everybody. Let's go.
Spring has
the beard trimmer is great. I got to use it.
Yeah, it looks. Yeah, I like it. Your length right there. It looks good.
It's itchy and it sucks. I hate it.
No. Okay.
I was a clean shaven guy up until pandemic.
Yeah.
And I started podcasting, and then I saw you with beards.
With all the neck beards. You got to join the neck beard clan.
Yeah, I gotta have at least a 5 o'clock shadow. So yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
That's all right. Well, everybody, spring has sprung, and our friends at Manscaped have the best tools for some spring cleaning. They've already helped you tidy up all the nooks and crannies of your body's basement. But this year, Manscaped can help you get the perfect presentation on that beautiful face with a brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Make sure you look your best this spring by using code FUNSPECULATION to get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Everybody, again, save 20% off and get free shipping with the code FUNSPECULATION at manscaped.com. It helps you. It helps us. It helps Manscaped. It helps you stay nice and groomed for your significant other. And again, it's 20% off and free shipping with the code FUNSPECULATION at manscaped.com. Focus on the face and use the Beard Hedger Pro Kit for the cleanest look in the game.
Hey, and it's John Daly approved. One of the coolest dudes to ever play golf. So, you know, that's all you really need. John Daly approves it. So go there, pick it up, code FUNSPECULATION, get you 20% off, and let's go. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. And that means a lot in this world. So go get your confidence back.
Y'all making fun because I said I like his length. You have great length, Pong. But I
didn't even catch that.
I've heard it's more about the thickness. You know how thick it is.
It is. There's benefits to both.
Right. You could have a thin, long beard, or you could have a short, thick beard.
Yeah, but you could have a big, thick, bushy.
You could have a long and thick beard, and is that the best?
That's like the best.
Okay.
I don't know, because I can't stand beards, but that's just what it is. All right. Let's get into the nonsense. Let's get into the fun. It's not really fun. I know a lot of people are sick of ABK. and frustrated that we have to continue to talk about it. Mav and I are opposite there. What I'm sick of having to talk about this nonsense. And again, we just did this a couple weeks ago, Mav, didn't we? Phil lies. Phil Spencer is a liar. I told you, Mav, when we talked about it, and I know you already know, but during our discussion, I said that there's a section of the community, and again, they all wear their clown makeup. They actually never take it off. They go to bed, they wake up in the morning, and they look exactly the same with that same clown face on. And we know the majority of them out here. There's a big group of them, small in comparison to the normal gamers who just want to talk gaming. But this clown show, the circus, they wake up waiting for stuff to get on Twitter to claim that Phil Spencer is a liar. They wait for this. They're not even sniper mode. They're just out here standing out in front of their clown cars, just waiting to hop in and drive home and start tweeting about this stuff. And it happened again this week, Mav. It actually happened just, yesterday. IGN France had an article with Arcane and talking about Redfall. And in that article, here, I'll read from VGC real quick. I'll read the article so everybody gets the lowdown of exactly what happened. Well, if my phone wants to work, that would be great. So I can read this article. Fantastic. Thank you. Arcane has confirmed that Redfall was originally in development for the PS5, but plans changed when Microsoft acquired the studio's owner. Arcane, and this is by, who wrote this one? Tom Ivan over there at VGC. Arcane has said that Redfall was originally in development for PS5 as well as Xbox Series X, S, and PC. While perhaps unsurprising, Arcane Austin studio director Harvey Smith has now confirmed that plans for a PlayStation release were canceled after Microsoft acquired Bethesda's parent company, ZeniMax Media. Quote, "We were acquired by Microsoft and it was a change with capital C," he told IGN France. "They came in and they said, no PlayStation 5. We're focusing on Xbox, PC, and the Game Pass." Development of Redfall had started a year prior to the $7.5 billion acquisition. Quote, "It's not very serious. It's even a good decision, I think," Smith said, of dropping the PS5 version. It helps to support Game Pass and have one less platform to worry about, one less complexity. He added, quote, "Game Pass has a ton of players. It could become our biggest game thanks to 30 million. Where I can't remember the exact number of subscribers. He threw that in there at the last minute. Microsoft recently announced a Redfall release date of May 2nd, 2023, alongside details of a special edition and pre-order bonuses. I don't have to go on the rest here. That was the main meat of what happened. So this article came out, and of course, IGN did their normal thing. I've been on so many rants about the journalists out here and mainstream media, especially when it comes to this nonsense. So the rest of the interview was lost, and of course, they had to run with the headline that there was a Redfall, a PlayStation 5 Redfall version, and that it was canceled when the acquisition went through. They had to run with that because they knew what it would drive to their website to get the clicks, to get the money, the ad revenue that they all need to survive because they're all failing miserably these days as little guys like us on YouTube take their place time and time again. But they can't help themselves. It's an addiction. They have to get those clicks to feed the money. So they ran with this. And of course, again, Clown Show was waiting, got in their little clown cars, drove home, started tweeting immediately. Phil Spencer lies again. Told you all, Phil is a liar. Oh my God, he's taking away games from PlayStation yet again. Like I said in the beginning of this is what bores me. This is the nonsense. You're being intellectually dishonest or willfully ignorant, whichever the one, you're doing it again. Because if you honestly didn't know that, of course, there was a PlayStation version of Redfall in production prior to the acquisition, ZeniMax is a multi-platform developer and publisher. Every single game, for the most part, would have a counterpart on multi-platforms. So, of course, because they hadn't been acquired yet when they started work on Redfall, of course there was that version. The difference is that version was never announced. There was no contract signed. So it does not fall in line with the games that Phil talked about that he would not remove from PlayStation. So again, in my opinion, your perspective, whatever you want to call it these days, whatever this thing is that you guys all have on the internet nowadays, whatever it is, you can run with it. You can run with your narrative. But Phil didn't lie. Go back and watch the interview. Everybody's new favorite voice in the community, Reforged Gaming. Of course, you all seen his clips this week. We might even get into the Coke subject here later. But new favorite voice. I've actually been listening to him live because I do my research on people before I form an opinion. I don't take the opinion of others. I actually will check out their content before I say, nope, not going to do this, or hey, it's not that bad. I'm going to say he's actually got some decent quality talking points. He's actually another intelligent guy, and I know about his past and all that kind of stuff too, so I don't need to go there. But I'm just going to say from his speaking on subjects, he does have some knowledge, and he does come across certain times as very level-headed. There's other times where he goes off on the deep end where I'm like, what? How are you ignoring this point? But even he had to come out and say that it's nonsense, that Phil did not lie. And again, the only reason why I'm bringing up, not that he's the big voice around here, he's the newest and the hottest thing that everybody wants to go see and either love or hate, right? It happens. It happens in this community a lot. But even he, doing all of his research, because that's his big thing, I research. You people don't. I research, so my opinions are educated. He even had to say, no, you guys are stupid. What are you guys talking about? Phil didn't lie. Go back and listen to his corporate speak. It's corporate speak, but he talked about games that were already on your platform. He talked about contracts that were already agreed to. This does not count because Redfall was not there. Okay? Redfall was in development. That's it. Of course they're developing it on all the systems. They had no idea they were going to get acquired, or if they did, only the higher ups knew. The developers didn't know that. It's business as usual. All right, Mav, I'm going to bring you in now. I've gotten my point across on this matter. All the videos, Mav, all the videos, we've seen so many interviews with Phil. You don't have to like how the dude speaks. You don't have to agree with how he uses corporate speak. Again, that's his position. I've always said as such. He can't say certain things. He's got to be very careful. But if you go back and you honestly listen to him, and you can go back a couple years, you can go back even prior to the ZeniMax when they were acquiring smaller studios. He's never once come out and said anything other than what he stated there, which is all existing titles, legacy titles, will continue to be supported on the platforms that they're currently on. That the acquisitions are for players who play on platforms where Game Pass exists. Period. That's it. That's all he's ever said. So, Mav, where do you stand on this, brother? Where are you? I mean, I know where you are, but go ahead. Jump on in here. The clown show is out here once again for the episode 10,000, trying to say that Phil lies, that he needs to be out of the industry, that this guy is nothing. And again, I'm not even on board, Mav. There's some Xbox community member, and I know there's some PlayStation guys that are actually doing this, but there's a separate little side battle that's going on that kind of wraps everybody in it, where there's some people who honestly don't want to see Microsoft and Xbox get any exclusives, and they're upset that they're getting exclusives like Redfall and Starfield. And there's Xbox guys who are saying, oh, look at you crying ponies, blah, blah, blah. You guys out here, you guys are the only ones who can have exclusives. You told Xbox to compete, so now they're competing. That's a whole separate side issue. That's a separate conversation, and it's a dumb conversation because, yes, it is hypocritical for the people that are saying that, oh, Xbox, they pulled this game. They can't have these exclusives. They should do it the right way. They should build from the ground up. They should invest $70 billion in their own studios. Stop going and buying all this IP. That's a whole separate issue. What we're talking about here is whether or not Xbox pulled games off of PlayStation after the acquisition. Whether or not Phil broke his promise, quote unquote, that they weren't going to pull games off PlayStation. Where are you at with that conversation?
It's from everything we've seen with Phil, and also with the discussions between Microsoft and the regulators and the documents that were revealed, there is no lie. Again, it's just speaking the plain truth, and whether you like that fact or not doesn't mean a damn thing. It just means that it is what it is. And if you wanted to play Redfall on PlayStation, then too bad. I'm sorry, but there's another option for you, there's several options for you, right? And, if somebody that only has a PlayStation, they can't get Game Pass for whatever reason, they can't get all of this stuff, and they're just really excited for Redfall. I'm sorry that you're not going to get to play it. You know what I mean? But I would argue that the Xbox ecosystem is the most accessible ecosystem out there, period. With multiple devices, with a low-cost subscription. And for a game to be exclusive to that is way different than a PlayStation 5 exclusive, such as Spider-Man 2, which you got to own a $500 box and pay $70 to play the game. So stop complaining about what you don't get. Be happy for what you do get. If you lose out on something, guess what? You're not special. It's not the end of the world. Calling people liars doesn't make you right. It just makes you look sad. And it's not true. Point blank, the facts, the evidence, the statements, everything's out there. Whether you want to twist it however you want, doesn't make a damn bit of difference. Because it ain't up to you. It's up to Microsoft. It's up to the people that actually own the franchise. If this game was in development, which it sounds like it was originally for PS5, so when they got acquired, things changed. Starfield may have been anticipated releasing on PlayStation 5 as well. In fact, we know that PlayStation was trying to acquire exclusivity rights for Starfield. At least a heavy marketing deal similar to what they did with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, actually contractually prohibiting those games from releasing for a year on Xbox, or even coming into the service until their service also gets the benefit of having those games. So you want to look at it and you want to try and say something's a liar or something's bad or something this or that. What about games like Stellar Blade? That was previously actually announced for Xbox.
Correct.
Final Fantasy VII was originally said that remake was originally going to be coming to Xbox after a year of exclusivity. All these things have also changed. So if you're going to outcry and call Phil Spencer a liar, where's the outcry against your favorite brand about prohibiting other platforms and consoles from playing third-party published games? We're talking about a game that Microsoft actually owns now, which is a new IP. Something that nobody's ever guaranteed to get. It's better for the game now, being able to access into Game Pass and everything, like they were saying. When we criticize Square for making these deals, right? It's not because of PlayStation. We understand that's good business for PlayStation. At the time, we're looking at it from Square's perspective. If Arcane was independent, or if they were only owned by Bethesda, and Bethesda signing exclusivity deals left and right, I would criticize them too, saying you're probably not making the best decisions for your products. Mm-hmm. But guess what? They're owned by Microsoft now. So all of that's irrelevant. What makes the most sense is for Microsoft and Microsoft alone. Redfall is going to have a good chance of succeeding because of the ecosystem that it's in. With all of these different devices, doesn't matter if it's not on PlayStation. So if you wanted to play it, I'm sorry, but get your clown face out, get your clown face off, go to the mirror, get your makeup wipes, take it off, and look in the mirror and accept it. That you should be at this phase of acceptance now. Acceptance has to come at some point when you realize that you don't get everything, right? You don't get everything, and it's okay, right? It would be an amazing world if every player got to play every game on every device they want to, right? It would be amazing if I could play Mario on my Xbox. It'd be fantastic, right? If I could play Ghost of Tsushima on my Xbox, it would be fantastic. But am I sitting here crying about it? Am I sitting here calling people liars because this and that or whatever? No. When when you got the rights to Spider-Man and you started making all these Spider-Man games exclusive, even though you don't own the actual rights to Spider-Man for gaming, you only own the media rights, but you made a deal with Marvel for those games. I'm not sitting here saying, hey, Sony, you're a piece of shit. I can look at Marvel and say, you may not be making the best decision, right? But it is what it is, man. Like, it comes down to they don't like Xbox. They hate Xbox. Anything that's a positive for Xbox that is a negative for PlayStation is just always going to be looked at and twisted into something that they can try and use for talking points or wins or whatever. But I gotta say, when those points that you're making are just based on bold-faced twisting of words and lies and with lack of any kind of proof or evidence whatsoever, that clown image that you have is only strengthened. Mm-hmm. So props to anybody with some intelligence that's looking at this for what it is. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you don't get to play it. You know, I know that you're excited for it now after you keep seeing more and more gameplay. This game that you didn't used to care about whatsoever.
They're not. They're just headhunting Phil. That's all they want to do is headhunt Phil. They literally want him out of his spot. See, they don't like Game Pass, Mav, and they don't like where the industry is going. And they know that Phil is one of the heads that pushed it. And so therefore they want his head. Well, they want to hope that Xbox fails and they go back to a classic style in third place.
Why do these people want this? Why?
Because they see the doom. Because in their eyes, right? Their eyes, Game Pass is the bell of it's the bell ringing, signaling the end. Okay. In their eye, I've listened to enough of these guys, like the ones that actually do have a perspective and have a intelligent, talking points behind it as to be able to clarify why they believe this. They believe that this is signaling the end of the industry as we know it, and that Game Pass is going to be the downfall. That there is even those is going away.
Talking points are just backed by blatant ignorance of where technology is going in the future, right?
And I agree with you. I do, but they have to blame somebody, man. Right. They have to blame somebody, right? Because this is not the world they want to live in, right? Even if they know it's just technology moving forward, they don't want that world. They want their physical $70 games. That's how you buy them. Organic growth studios. You don't go out and acquire anybody, even if you got the money to do so. You do it the right way according to them. And they see this as the end all. And they do believe that Phil was obviously one of the main proponents of this because that's the idea that he brought in with him when he took over Xbox. So they want his head, and they want to hope that Xbox either fails out of the industry completely or at the most falls back into third place, continues to try to fight Sony on the same game that they've been playing for a long time, and they'll be happy with that because they believe that there's no way Xbox could ever compete on that level. Because that's what history's showing them. So this is where they're at. Nix, I saw you speculating in the chat, and I always appreciate you, brother, because you do bring some different perspectives, and you do this here and you do this elsewhere. But I saw you speculating, like, how do we know there wasn't a deal signed for Redfall? Here's what I'm going to say. Of course, nobody can say that 100% for sure. But what I will say is if a deal actually had been signed, a contract, and Microsoft actually broke that contract, because, again, they honored the contracts for Deathloop, they honored the contracts for Ghostwire Tokyo, right? Had there been a contract for Redfall, and behind the scenes, just because it hadn't been announced, Phil scrapped it, right? Said, nope, we're not going to follow through on that contract. I can guarantee you as close to 100% without being somebody who has direct knowledge of the situation. I can guarantee you that would have been brought up during the ABK deal.
Yeah.
That would have been a major talking point, and we would have heard about it.
Sony would have been crying majorly about that. Yeah.
Oh my God. And the regulars, CMA would have brought it up in their initial reports, or the ECU would have brought up in their initial reports. FTC, somebody would have said, well, we've got proof right here that you guys are already foreclosing on things that you're purchasing.
Yeah, and you also have to look at the fact that Microsoft has also said that they are honoring all the existing contracts to the regulators, so they can't risk lying about that either, right? Because if they were to caught red-handed, that's very bad for the ABK acquisition, and going forward. So really, I mean, they also have to look at the evidence of all the other contracts they've honored and upheld, regardless of if it's bad for them or not. And this goes beyond Sony. This goes even to other games from other teams that they had acquired in the past, making games that were multi-platform as well, right? So this goes back years, all the way back to when this whole acquisition phase started for Microsoft, of them honoring all the existing agreements. Outer Worlds 2 was just, or Outer Worlds, sorry, not Outer Worlds 2, but Outer Worlds, what is it, the Spacers Edition, I think, Spacers was Edition, just released by Private Division, right? Because they were the original publishers. That was a game that also released after the acquisition of Obsidian, right? Then you had Wasteland 3 released multi-platform after the acquisition of In Exile. Psychonauts 2.
Along with all the DLC for Wasteland 3 also launched.
Psychonauts 2 released everywhere. Even though Microsoft gave them way more time and made it a way better game, still released everywhere. You also have all the Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo exclusivity agreements for a year. Now those games are also in PlayStation Plus.
Skyrim Anniversary Edition.
Are going into PlayStation Plus at least.
The Skyrim Anniversary Edition is launched everywhere. Fallout 4, the free update. PlayStation's getting it.
Yeah, and they also
doesn't have to be a thing.
And even Nintendo got the Skyrim Anniversary Edition published by Nintendo.
Correct.
So I mean, there's like several different scenarios you can look at this, and it's just like there's no real reason to doubt that if there was a contract, Microsoft would have upheld that end of the bargain.
Yeah.
Right. I think they may have ended up being one.
Oh, for sure.
Because there was
Sony was getting buddy with
Bethesda.
Bethesda.
But it didn't happen, you know?
Right.
So it is, I mean, I think they just got ahead of it. And maybe when the acquisition was happening, you know, it was before those contracts were ever agreed to for Starfield or Redfall or any other games coming out from them in the future.
This is about, and again, we'll go back to this. I've said this, and again, I don't know, Phil. Never talked to the dude. There's people in the community who've talked to him plenty of times who might consider him a friend. I'm not one of those people. I don't know Phil at all. And it's all about perception. I would ask those that still carry this perception about how Phil has lied to take a step back and maybe try to look at it from a different perspective. And again, I'll say it again. If you listen to Phil's words, he has to be very careful as for his position dictates. And again, he talks more than any other bigwig in most industries ever. Like you'll see a lot of guys go on business channels and do the stock talk and all that kind of stuff. Like you'll see CEOs out there. Phil goes and talks to everybody. Yeah. And he talks about a lot of different subjects. He has to be very careful. But if you listen to his words, I don't believe Phil's, because people get upset, Mav, about the kumbaya Phil. People get upset that Phil constantly says this isn't about taking away games from other platforms. This is about getting the games into the hands of more players at the end of the day. I need you guys all to take this step back. He's not talking about PlayStation. I'm sorry, you guys. He's not talking about PlayStation when he says this. He's talking about Xbox growing their ecosystem overall. The console market is tiny compared to the mobile market. That's what he's talking about when he says stuff like that. And I believe, like I said, I don't know the man, but obviously I've been following the industry for long enough and followed him since the beginning when he jumped on board and became the head, that he honestly, in his heart of hearts, if PlayStation would accept Game Pass, he'd put it there. He would have open borders across all platforms if Phil was running the entire industry and making all the decisions. Like Mav said, we would be playing Mario on Xbox. In Phil's heart, that's what he would love to have someday. He doesn't say these things as lies. He means them. However, the industry's not set up that way. And if you go back and listen to all of his interviews, not just the out of context clips that you guys all hear, and again, I'm not talking to most people in the chat here. Most people in chat know this. He backs it up and says, but I understand that exclusives are still part of our industry. But when they go make an acquisition, do they go make an acquisition going, ha ha ha, Sony PlayStation doesn't get any more of these games. Ha ha ha. Do you think that's honestly their key discussions when they're going through strategy, when they're talking about making big acquisitions or small acquisitions? Ha ha ha. Take that, Jim. You don't get this game anymore. Do you honestly think that's how this all goes down? That's narcissism if you do for your favorite company, which
it's also making the whole gaming industry way smaller than it is. Right. Like that's just this hyper focus on console wars, right?
Yes.
We're between Xbox versus PlayStation. And that's all there is. That's all that matters because they're the two big players in the hardcore gaming space, the two big platforms. And it's just, and PlayStation's going to win because they're better and Xbox sucks and they have no games and we don't want them to succeed. So we're just going to focus on that. And that's all it is because that's in our shallow minds. That's all that exists. Right.
Right.
This space is so much bigger than
and
anybody.
That's what Xbox is focused on. That's what Microsoft wants.
Sony's still in the past on that or clinging to it because that's where they've had their advantage.
That's
right.
Right. But that's so again,
they're playing two different games.
It's not Microsoft's main point to walk in. So when Phil says stuff like it's not their main point to walk in and take games off of PlayStation. That's not the only reason why they go make an acquisition. At the end of the day, does that happen in certain cases as we are seeing now? Yes, of course it does. Because as Phil said, exclusives, unfortunately to him, are still a big part of this industry. So does that happen? Of course. But that's like way down here on the list of reasons why they're going to buy things like Activision Blizzard King for $70 billion. It's not PlayStation that they're worried about. It's about Google and Apple and their Play Store. It's about reaching the 3 billion people. People forget that comment or they laughed it off and they dismiss it all the time. But that's really Microsoft's goal. If you want to have concerns about some dystopian future, right? I don't agree with you, but I can hear it because there's arguments about it, but it's never going to happen. But anyways, if you wanted to take that frame of mind, you got to get this whole PlayStation is the only thing that Microsoft thinks about out of your head. They're thinking about much bigger plans. They want the whole damn pie. Or they at least want to have their fingers in the whole damn pie in some way, shape, or form.
And right now, with the way the future is headed with like the amount of, with the most money in gaming, right? The two main players are Google and Apple, right? And then Tencent, okay? Because Jim said himself that the console market's kind of capped, right? They've been selling around consistently the same amount for the past few generations. PS2 outsold everything, right? I mean, they still haven't matched those numbers, right? So we're looking at this ecosystem and the gaming space, and they have charts for this, and you see mobile and all this stuff, and you see, consoles, this mainlining, right? That market, if you want to talk about where the future's headed, and maybe not a lot of people can be happy with this, but talk about 10 years from now, right?
Yeah.
Think about where the cloud was 10 years ago. Think about where it's going to be 10 years from now. This is a much bigger game. And if you want Google and Apple to have the two only main storefronts that control the future of gaming, then you're going to be rooting for PlayStation right now to get this deal blocked. But where it's going with Microsoft trying to open this up, Epic wants this as well, trying to get the storefronts across all the different devices. Microsoft wants a storefront on Apple. They want a storefront on Google, all this stuff, because they're trying to crack open that duopoly, right? Sure. Think about the cloud with Game Pass, what it's going to mean for the future 10 years from now. And if they don't crack that barrier, they don't crack that open, you got two main players that are in control of the entire storefronts for gaming. Potentially 10 years from now, because we don't know where console gaming's headed at that point, right? It's a lot of things are going to be focused on the cloud. Yeah, you still have physical hardware. That's going to be like for the enthusiasts and stuff, for people like us. But to the grand scheme of the market, we're small potatoes now.
Yep.
We're the most diehard. We're the people that care the most, but we're not where all the money's at.
Nope.
We're a fraction of where the money's at. The money's in mobile.
Correct.
Money's in live service. You know, the money's in the cloud. And that's where everything's moving to, right? Like the money for the future is across multiple ecosystems, multiple platforms, multiple devices. Microsoft has saw this before other people because they're a tech company. That's what their job is to do. And they're trying to get ahead of the game. They're very forward thinking. Right. You got to look at who they sided with when Epic tried to bypass Apple. Who was there to back up Epic? It was Microsoft. Who bypassed Apple's storefront to allow Fortnite to be played on Apple devices? It was Microsoft, right?
Right.
They're trying to crack open that duopoly for the sake of the future, for all of us not to be controlled gaming wise by Google and Apple. And that's just what it is, right? Maybe Sony finds a way within that, you know. That's why a lot of people are predicting at one day in the future, maybe they get absorbed by one of these other companies, right?
Right.
But I don't know, man. Like, I would rather there be 3 big players in the storefront space on mobile and cloud than potentially 2. And gaming subscriptions. Because people say, oh, Game Pass is the biggest gaming subscription there is, the most successful. That's not true. No. Apple. Mm-hmm. Apple has like 100 million Apple Arcade members.
And they don't even make games.
And we're sitting there talking about, but Redfall's not going to be in my fucking PlayStation. Well, who the fuck cares, man? I'm sorry. Really? Get over yourself. You want to call this guy a liar? That's fine. But actually look at things and put into perspective what's really at hand here. Right? Do you think they give a fuck about your Redfall on your PlayStation? No, this is about much bigger things. It makes sense for them to focus certain games for the exclusivity because it strengthens the brand and it strengthens the platform. Right? That's just business. That's the way it's always been in gaming. But with Xbox now, that's more than a fucking piece of hardware. That's more than one box. That's on your phone. That's in the cloud. That's on your TV through an app. That's on your PC. You can have a shitty ass laptop and still access the game via the cloud. And it's going to get better and better and better. We're in the infancy still of this technology. Everybody.
Yes.
Sony's going to cry. Clowns are going to cry because of consolidation. When there is no consolidation in the grand scheme of things with gaming, you have a microscope view. If you really want to call consolidation for what it is. How many fucking publishers and game developers are out there? Mm-hmm. Microsoft's going to own a tiny fraction of this. Okay? There's new ones every single year. There's new publishers, there's new developers, and they grow, they fail, it's dynamic, and it's always changing. You want to cry about ABK, you want to cry about ZeniMax Bethesda. It's much bigger than this. Gaming is way bigger than this, and you don't need those things to succeed on your platform. If that was the case, then I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for the platform because that's bad business. They don't need that. They like it. It's going to hurt them if they don't have it. PlayStation would sure like to have Redfall. They like to have every fucking game on their platform. Just not the reality of the business. It's just is what it is. It's just this nonsensical twisting of things for the sake of console war fanboyism. That's just absolutely just mind blowing. And it's been here since the gaming communities existed for the most part, but it's gotten really crazy over the last several years. And it's just blind ignorance. Yeah.
Because Microsoft showed up. That's the difference. They woke up. The sleeping giant woke up and is flexing and doing it their way. And they are disrupting the entire industry. If there's one thing that I've learned in my life is that most humans hate change. Most human beings hate change no matter where it comes from. There's certain people that flourish and excel with change, but most people don't like it. But in business, that's what happens. And again, You may not like how Phil says it. Fine. You don't have to like the guy. But the flat out claim that he's lying is wrong. Because the facts are, he has not once lied. And for all of you that are having a problem and an issue with how Microsoft is doing things, listen. This is how change happens. It's not always pretty. It's not always fun. It may not always benefit you. But the change is going to happen one way or another. Because the industry is dynamic. We want a dynamic industry. We want a healthy industry. We want industry where vampire survivors can come out of freaking one guy's head and blow up on the charts. Even if it doesn't last as long as some bigger games will, it doesn't matter. The chance that that happens in a closed industry, in a non-dynamic, stagnant industry, is almost zero. Instead, we have this flourishing industry that shot up out of nowhere to become the #1 entertainment industry in the entire world. We got groups like Embracer Group coming out of nowhere who nobody knew about just a couple years ago to become one of the world's biggest publishers, one of the biggest owners of IP. Whether you consider that IP valuable or not doesn't matter. The industry knows that it's valuable. That's what this industry is right now. And you guys who want to fight and rail against it, I understand. Don't like change. You got your favorite piece of plastic. They make all the games that you like and you only like those games. I totally get that. That's personal preference. There's nothing wrong with that. But the change is going to happen. Sony put themselves in this position and had wild success with it for over a generation. But the fact is, in this industry, that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. PlayStation has done this for decades. They had one down generation in the PlayStation 3 era. And they still wound up at the end of the day selling more consoles than Xbox at the end of that generation for differing factors. But that was their most down time. They've dominated for 3 decades, 3 generations. But that doesn't mean anything. Sega dominated for a very long time. And we know what happened to Sega. Things change. If you don't adapt, you die. Sony put themselves in the position by becoming reliant upon third parties so they could go make they make more than one style game. I'm not that dude who says they only make one style game. They do make more. But they mothballed a ton of IP and a ton of different style games because they didn't need them. They found the one that makes them a lot of money. So now they rely on third parties. So here we are. That's Sony's fault for putting themselves in this position in an industry where they knew, even if they can't go make this type of acquisition, they knew if Microsoft ever jumped in full force, a $1 trillion company can go make acquisitions like ABK. And they still put themselves in this position. That's their fault. Now they have to adapt. That's not Microsoft's fault. That's how business runs. You don't get to make arbitrary rules all the time for people. You don't get to make arbitrary rules for Phil and what he can say and what he can't say. He's already got those rules in place from the corporation. There's only certain things he can say. You don't get to make those rules. You don't get to say, well, the industry, I don't like Game Pass. I don't want it here. I don't want to go digital. I want physical. I want consoles the way that they used to be. I want everybody buying games for $70. I hate you renters. Sorry. Those arbitrary rules don't work.
I'd rather save money, man. I don't know.
So
I'm for the consumer. I'm not for the company. Like people say.
I'm just saying, there's guys out there like that, man, that honestly believe that this is now a status symbol. That where you play your video games, what video games you play, how you play them, how many you beat, what your gamer score is, how many trophies you got, are all of a sudden a status symbol. Freaking video games, people.
I can afford to play on PlayStation. I'm special.
Right. That's what it is. We go to the steakhouse, Mav. You guys go to the fast food.
We go to McDonald's where the Coke might get bought by Burger King. I eat
steak. You guys are eating slop.
Yeah.
Literally, this is the arguments on Twitter. And that's why that's a part of this conversation right now, is because it's that mentality that then gets into the console war, that then goes to the point where you start calling somebody a liar because you don't happen to like the company they work for and you don't like how he speaks and the words he uses, and you got to go out there and call him a liar nonstop. Because a game that was never announced for your system, that never had a contract, as far as we're aware of, again, 99.999 repeating percent sure, it was never a contract.
Even if there was, game, like yes, what Nix's point in the chat was that was, if there had been, right, yes, then it would have been dealt with accordingly to the contract terms still.
Correct.
Which is still honoring the contract, which is still what they said.
Right.
It is what it is.
Technically speaking, yes, it would have been. But that's where we're at now in this community in some spaces. Again, overall, community is fucking great. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. Met my best friends here now. It's insane. Community is wonderful. But there is a subsection that goes out of their way to find wrong with Phil. And yes, I know there's another section that goes out of their way to find wrong with Jim. Like I said, it's what it is. In my eyes, Jim's so doing exactly what he needs to do. Yeah, no, it's not, because he's not a gamer. He's not that dude.
Yeah.
But anyways, exactly. But again, Jim is a businessman. I've said it from day one. He's doing what he needs to do.
He's doing his job right now, maybe a little poorly with his arguments, but maybe that's all he has. You know what I mean?
That's what they're down to, Mav.
Yeah, it's true. That's all they got.
And that's the thing that blew up with Reforge Gaming, right? Is because he came out. And again, this is a matter of people don't listen. They hear what they want to hear. You and I have experienced this a million times, Mav, just even our podcast. They hear what they want to hear, or they get bite-sized clips that are taken out of context and they run with it because everybody else is saying the same damn thing and they run with it. But Reforge did a whole video, and this is where I was like, dude, come on, man. And he did this. We'll talk about this briefly, then we'll move on. Because I think it's funny because I know how this blew up and I know why it blew up. But Reforge's Coke comment, his Coke analogy, where he claims that, so Sony is McDonald's and Xbox is Burger King, and this is like Burger King coming in and buying Coke, right? Not the white powder stuff, but the actual pop, because McDonald's sells so much Coke. They do, which is true. It's a statistical fact. It's such a large part of their revenue that Call of Duty is the Coke. And that's where he came up with this. His point of that video, however, if you watch the point of the video where he made this analogy and he went off, was that Jim Ryan's doing his job, which again, I agree with him there. Jim Ryan's doing his job. But he said you can't say that they're desperate. You can't say that they are crying and lying. And that is wrong. If Burger King did purchase Coke and took it away from McDonald's, and I don't know why you're laughing, man. Why are you laughing?
This is just the stupidest analogy.
I know.
I make some dumb analogies too, but this one's just fucking so funny.
But listen, there's a lot of things in that analogy, and people were right for saying it's a bad analogy. He doubled and tripled down and said, no, it's a great.
That was the thing. Like, if you can just admit it's a stupid analogy, that's fine. But they've been trying to.
But they. I know. But let's take it at face value, right? Ignoring all the problems with this analogy, because there are a lot of them from a business standpoint that is completely wrong here or doesn't compute. And I won't get into this because it doesn't matter. Let's just take it for face value. If Burger King were to buy Coke and turn around and offer McDonald's to continue to allow them to carry Coke for 10 years, okay? And let's say this is a public battle like this ABK deal is.
Will there be Coke parity? Will the Coke taste the same at both restaurants?
This is what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
So let's say this was all public knowledge, right? And everybody was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this battle between McDonald's and Burger King. This is crazy, man. Holy shit, Burger King just bought Coke. Holy shit, my mind's blown right now. Yo, what about Wendy's? What about Arby's? Are they going to get Coke?" Listen, if that was the case and this really went down like this, and McDonald's obviously would be fighting and saying, you can't do this, right? I would expect McDonald's to say, no, what do you mean? You can't do this, right? But if that was happening, and then as the battle went on, there came a time and point where McDonald's came out and said in court documents that were released to the public, listen, this is why they can't own Coke, because we think there's a possibility that Burger King, as the owners of Coke, will put less sugar in our Coke that they deliver to us.
They're going to put bugs in our Coke.
Taste bad. They're going to put bugs in our Coke. We're going to have legs in our Coke. We're going to have things wrong with our Coke. You don't think that the majority of the public would look at McDonald's like they're freaking crazy as a corporation, be like, yo, McDonald's is lost. Yeah. Like, this is like the narrative is gone, man. Like, this is desperation time. McDonald's is like they're throwing haymakers now, just hoping something lands, right? Yes, a business can be fighting for their rightful position to protect their bottom line and also be desperate at the same time. And it's okay to call them out when they're making nonsensical statements, even if it's plausible, even if you want to say, well, technically speaking, they could do this, so they've got the right to bring it up because it's a viable argument. There's viable arguments, and then there's desperate arguments. Claiming that Microsoft would purposely damage the Call of Duty version on PlayStation is that desperation moment. It is okay to have both of those things happening. They have the right to do it. I don't blame them. I said, Jim Ryan doesn't care what we think. Sony doesn't care what all of us think. They're going to run around, kick everybody in the balls. This is a fight. They don't want to lose Call of Duty. I get it. They're allowed to do that. And I'm not saying I wouldn't do the same damn thing in their position when we're talking about millions upon millions of dollars. Listen, it's different. But it can also be true that sounds desperate. And it can also be true that they've gotten to the point where they're digging in the bottom of the bag for reasons why this deal should not go through. And I believe that that's where Sony's at right now. And that's why the statements came out. But that was Reforge's whole thing with that analogy. Again, it wasn't, everybody focused on the analogy and was talking about how bad it was and how ridiculous it was. And I agree. Again, there's a lot of problems with it that he avoided, that he ignored. But there's a lot more games than there are soda. Yeah, right. And McDonald's doesn't make their own pop, and there's all sorts of problems.
But they're going to have 10 years, though, to develop their own Mick Coke.
Right. The secret formula, though, so nobody else can copy it. Listen, the main point of his video, which I thought people should be attacking, is that he was complaining that people were calling Jim Ryan and Sony desperate and that they were crying and that they were lying and all this kind of stuff. At the end of the day, he was wrong. He was wrong. His perspective was wrong from what I just said, because it can still be true that a company can get desperate and throw out nonsense. And I firmly believe, and a lot of people firmly believe, as an opinion, that the nonsense that Sony's throwing out was an act of desperation at the end of the day. That was my point.
Yeah, and if there was like, okay, so you have Pepsi, you got Dr. Pepper, you got the brand, Pepsi brand, you got PepsiCo, Dr. Pepper Company, you got Coke, right? If one of those got acquired, three, the only real big soda companies that matter, right?
Right.
It makes a bigger difference than something in a sea of fucking games and publishers. Like, the whole thing is just absolutely blatantly stupid and ignorant and a horrible comparison to begin with. But it is what it is. I thought the guy was probably just hungry.
Well, we made Stuff Sean hungry. Stuff Sean now says he's hungry.
He was actually on Coke.
Yeah.
Which may fit with his background as well. So, shout out to Neil B. Welcome to the Speculators. Appreciate you. Thanks for joining the channel membership. Vic the Click hit us with a $5 super chat. Said, so who's moving the Coke, the clown or that big head Burger King? Right on, man.
That should be a mission in Grand Theft Auto coming up. 6.
Yeah.
That would be awesome if Strauss walks in and goes, all right, this analogy just came out. We're putting this in Grand Theft Auto.
Wow.
Fast food Coke Wars. God, that would be amazing.
Or a game where you have 10 years to develop your own Coke brand, your own Coke product.
Right.
Before it gets stolen from you from the big bad Burger King. It's a fast food tycoon.
Oh, the fast food war is a demolition, man. Let's go. Taco Bell was the sole survivor. That would be a freaking amazing game as well. All right. So we were just on the topic of Redfall through all that as part of that topic anyway. So let's jump into Redfall, Mav. Unless you want to talk some more Coke. We can talk some more Coke if you want to talk Coke.
Depends on what kind of Coke we're talking now, console.
Yeah. So you're a pop drinker.
Yeah, I am.
You're goody two shoes.
I know.
All right. Listen. Redfall. We got the previews. All the influencers and media and stuff that got to go play Redfall early. I got to go try it out. I think most of them said it was about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes total of gameplay time. They were all over the world. Actually, they held some in Europe. They held some here in America. Obviously, Colt Eastwood, great member of this community. Shout out to the brother. He got to fly out. They flew him out to LA. So a bunch of people got to go try this thing out, and they finally got to talk about it because that was 2 weeks ago, Mav. They finally got to drop their videos and give their thoughts on Redfall and what they experienced. And I'll let you take run on this first. I gotta go upstairs and check out something real quick too, by the way.
Yeah.
But initial thoughts. I would say that while mostly positive, people did bring up some concerns with this game. Again, we didn't get to see their actual gameplay footage. It was provided by Arcane, so the people who did put out videos like Colt had to use the provided footage, but it was new footage, and I liked what I saw there. But there was overall a positive atmosphere, which is kind of be expected from an event like this. But there was also some concerns. Now, what did you hear from everybody? What did you take away? And as you were watching the video, I mean, was there more stuff that you heard where you're like, oh, hell yeah, like, man, this is making me even more hyped because I already know that you're hyped for the game kind of like I am. And was there anything out of the videos that you pulled out that maybe you saw that you were like, oh, man, I didn't know that was going to be the experience? Just overall, what did you think about the previews this week that we got from everybody?
I mean, to be honest with you, and I mean, the game was exactly what I expected it to be. I think that some people may have been surprised because they weren't paying attention for all of the other stuff that we heard about it for a long time. Overall, though, and I'm curious what the chat thinks too, and let me know about your impressions on Redfall. For me, it looked like something that's going to be a surprise kind of hit. The thing with Redfall is different. Is there's a different level of expectations on Redfall than something like Starfield, right? Like, people can nitpick and games and everything like that. And I think there's going to be more attention brought to this game because it is a big Microsoft exclusive. One of the first big games they're launching as an exclusive from this from the ZeniMax Bethesda deal. But overall, from what I saw, it completely fell in line with everything that I've seen so far. The co-op aspects, the single player, the gunplay, story-based elements, like the way the loot is. I mean, everything from this game seemed exactly kind of lining up for me with everything that we've heard about it. Now, and I think that there's been some kind of assumption from a large part of the community over what a game like Redfall is. But I think it caught some people off guard. Now, there's going to be some people that just don't like Arcane-style games. And that may be where some of the concerns come in. But if you're into Arcane-style games, then this looks like it's going to be more up your alley as well. So for me, it's like, I don't know. There's so many different aspects to this game that's different. It's going to have a bigger audience because of Game Pass. It's going to have a bigger chance to succeed because of Game Pass than other Arcane games where you're having a large audience go in right away. But also, this is their first big multiplayer type experience as well. So as far as I go, chat, and while Pong's away, I think that this could be Arcane's biggest game they've ever made. Bigger than the Dishonored franchise, bigger than Deathloop, bigger than Prey. For me, this is seeming like it's a franchise that could really take off. I'm not expecting it to be in the 90s, right? Like high 90s and stuff like that. I would anticipate maybe mid to low 80s for score because it's not going to be for everybody, right? and maybe even the high 70s. I don't know. But does that mean it's going to be a bad game? It just means that for me, that there's going to be some people that don't like it. There's going to be some people that love it. And that's kind of what I've always expected from this game. The thing is that I think that it's going to be more interesting to find out how people that play through the complete story are going to enjoy the experience. And that's what we don't get a taste of from like an event like this. We don't have that full experience that people have playing from start to finish that really get to give that overall arcane style level of review or impact that they've had. They're more basing it on sample sizes of like, and with that, you're more focusing on gameplay elements, right? And shooting mechanics, abilities, co-op mechanics, stuff like that. Whereas beforehand, you're more looking at it like, well, this is going to be a complete experience for an arcane game, and we got to judge it for that. So I don't really worry about some of the criticisms, because for me, those criticisms, from what I've seen, have been really not anything that would bother me. And the other aspect is, I feel like a lot of the criticisms that I've had about the game should have been assumed from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it's not, like, I don't know. Like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But not every game has to be for everybody, right? But I still think this is going to have the biggest legs from any arcane game ever. So I have nothing but more hype about the game, actually, from what I saw. And there was some creators, and especially out there, that are usually fairly honest and everything, that were pretty blown away by it.
Yeah.
That didn't have some of those negative criticisms or worries and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's just, people trying to be honest and give their opinions on what they experienced so far. It's a short sampling, so it's hard. It's tough to say too much.
It's a short sample, and then also being that they only got to do the single player and not multiplayer. Also, that's only part of the total package, right? From listening to everybody, I actually got again. I think my hype's at the proper level for Redfall right now. And again, I'm a big Arcane fan, so I like pretty much everything that they've done. So I come from that perspective as well, and I love that Arcane's trying to do something different than they've always done. I understand why a lot of people would just want Arcane to continue to do what they've been known to do. But I always love devs who try to go outside of their comfort zone and try to, expand, their game making to something else. So I already appreciated what they were trying to do with Redfall. I think that with the previews and everything that I saw and I heard, I think I actually got, more enthused for Redfall, because the single player experience is what I said all along, that people were missing out when people first started comparing this to Back 4 Blood and Left 4 Dead and all that kind of nonsense. And I was out here, and a lot of us were out here saying, no, this is Arcane, everybody. This is Arcane. It's not going to be that type of game. Like, there's going to be something different with Arcane spin on it. But to see the single player experience that everybody was having was right up my alley, man. I'm like, oh shit, well, of course I'm going to play this multiplayer with all you guys. Of course I'm going to do that. But if I'm going to have this game, I'll have this game. This will be like one of my games that I just have kind of downloaded and that I go back to constantly. Like whenever, I get that feeling like, hey, I want to go. And to know that the single player experience is going to be unique from the multiplayer, to know that I'm going to be able to play it a completely different way than I would with the multiplayer, and that they focused on the single player, which is something I said, because the early interviews, a lot of people missed that when they were out there first talking about it. They said, no, first and foremost, this is an Arcane game through and through. Yeah. We wanted the single player experience. We built the single player experience from the ground up, and then we branched out and built the multiplayer experience. So for me, that's the most important part, that we could still tackle missions from a variety of different ways, right? That is huge Arcane. I love to see that. How unique the characters are and their abilities and what they're going to bring to the table. And yes, some of the abilities obviously seem to be more multiplayer focused at times, and how you can actually combo off of those abilities. But most of them have utility in the single player mode as well. And I think that part of it got me excited. And then obviously the gunplay. Again, I don't go into an Arcane game expecting Call of Duty. Yeah. I don't go in Arcane. If it's good, I'll be ecstatic. Like if the gunplay is good, I'll be like, yeah, let's go. This is even better. It's kind of the same thing for Bethesda with Starfield. If the gunplay is good, I'll be like, oh my God, Todd, way to go. That's not what I go into Arcane games to experience. So I think from what I saw, the level designs again are blowing me away. The different environments are what I saw from this, because some people went mainline to the mission that they got, the one mission that they had, the main kind of mission, and some people went off the beaten path. And I must have watched like 5 or 6 different videos. And I got a little, again, a lot of the video footage was provided by Arcane, but there was different things I picked up out of each one of those videos, because in the videos that Arcane provided, they were doing mission, but they were also off into the, never reaches of the open world, kind of exploring as well. And all of that just excited me. When people started saying this is more like Far Cry with Borderlands, which I already knew, I gave the Borderlands impression early on, but the Far Cry thing, that got me more excited as well, because I like open world games. I like doing the nonsense. I like going over here and seeing what's over there and getting into a mess, right? Or sneaking around and trying to go through stealthy and stealth an entire level, or take out a hideout, or whatever the hell it may be in a Far Cry game. I love that stuff. So the fact that this has all been brought into Redfall, and now that people have seen the single player experience, and they're like, yeah, you can go loud, but it's going to get rough, because they talked about too, Matt. I don't know if you heard in your reviews, but there's actually a meter that builds up. So the more people, the cult members and vampires you take down, you build up like a heat meter. And the more the vampires are searching for you and coming after you, right?
Yeah, kind of like a GTA, like star system or whatever, right?
Star system, right? Something like that. What? This sounds freaking amazing. So if I get like really good, if I'm stealthing and I'm taking down loads, all of a sudden, man, I'm going to have this meter at full, and I'm going to have vampires come out of the woodwork hunting me down, and it's going to get hectic. Yeah, man, I'm all about this. Like you said, man, I don't expect this to be Arcane's highest scoring game. Now, it could surprise me. I said that from the beginning. Who knows? Maybe it surprises everybody. Maybe it does get high scores once the final product's in our hands. But I'm not expecting it. I'm expecting to be middle of the road Arcane type game when it comes to review scores. Some people are going to love it, and some people are going to have issues with it. And I think that that's what this preview said to me more than anything. Okay, expectations wise, when I start hearing people talk about it, I'm going to expect some people to come out and say, I just wish Arcane would go back to just do their praise and do their dishonors. They don't need to be doing this style of game, right? I think that's what I'm expecting at this point. But I loved what I heard for the most part from everybody. The concerns, like you said, probably most of them could be fleshed out by the time they get the full game, or when people start playing it multiplayer, those concerns might dissipate. And it just might be that whole, hey, I was experiencing single player when I went into it thinking we were going to play multiplayer. There could have been some of that to it as well. But I think overall, again, my hype hasn't diminished for this at all. Again, I got a little bit more enthused out of this preview session here that we got from everybody, and I think it's a good deal.
I think it's a wild card game at the end of the day.
It is.
And I think this thing that they had this event, if you're excited for it and you've liked what you've seen, it cemented that. If you haven't liked what you've seen, it's probably cemented that as well.
Yep.
Because by this point, we've seen so much damn Redfall.
We have.
Like I'm just sick of seeing it. I just want to play it at this point.
Yeah.
And they're not really showing me anything that they do now that I haven't already seen or known about, really. I mean, minus the meter thing you're talking about and stuff like that. But like, those are little nuanced things that like I just like to find out when I'm playing and stuff. I don't tend to get like overly excited about certain things like that. It's the overall vibe of this game that I'm into, right?
Right.
It's the overall theme of this game and I'm excited to play an Arcane style game, because I do like Arcane games, but I'm not like in love with Arcane games. But this looks like an Arcane game that I'm going to be more excited to play than a lot of the other ones that I've played, right? So for me, this looks like, this is awesome. And this event has I don't think they're showing anything really revolutionary new that people hadn't already seen before or discovered watching all the other trailers or gameplay videos. And if you like it, you're probably still going to like it, and maybe that much more. And if you don't like what you see, you're probably going to like it a little less, because it's more of what you already saw. right? So that's just point blank what it is for me. And we'll see, the good news is for people that aren't interested in it or don't think they're going to like it, the Game Pass effect could take into hold. I was not excited for As Dusk Falls.
Right.
I thought I was going to have a bad experience. I was not looking forward to playing it. Ended up loving that game, right?
Yep.
And it was because of the vibe of it. It was because of the way the art style was and all that, right? So you just never know. So I think the good news is that with Arcane getting this game with the Game Pass ecosystem, everything is going to give them a chance to have numbers like they've never seen, right?
Yeah.
And they're really excited about that. So that's what they keep talking about.
They're kind of nervous too.
Yeah,
because they never had to deal with that many people playing their game at one time either.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be on a level of hype that they've never really seen before.
Exactly. I'm gonna have an interesting discussion on Saturday with Steel, because Steel's in the camp that he's not impressed and he's not looking forward to it. He's gonna try it in Game Pass, but like you said, he watched the previews and he came out on Twitter and called it Deadfall. That's what he heard out of the preview, right?
And
so it kind of justified his.
I mean, there's so like varying.
Yes,
there's like lots of different people that love it. There's some people that are like, I'm a little worried about it or whatever. But like, I don't see anybody saying it's horrible.
No.
I haven't seen that at all.
I don't think you can take that away from anything that we've seen. Like, this is going to be trash. No. We could have a discussion about how long you think the legs are going to be on it. We could talk about all that.
Yeah, but that's the benefit of a primarily single player type experience that you can play in single player. Like people keep talking about this weird thing right now. All of a sudden, people care about Hogwarts Legacy's player counts diving. It's a fucking single player game. Like, what do you expect? Like, what is God of War Ragnarok's player count right now? Like, I mean, nobody.
That's journalists waiting for something negative to talk about Hogwarts for all the other reasons.
Yeah, like it's so stupid. Like
it's stupid.
It's the games that don't really have these like player count variances like that, or like these big multiplayer things, and even them have fall offs. You know what I mean? So it's like it's so stupid. I mean, if Redfall doesn't have long lasting legs, I honestly don't think that's what they're expecting. I mean, I don't think
DLC too.
But I don't think they're expecting this to be the next Sea of Thieves.
No.
You know what I
mean? There's not going to be any monetization. They already said no monetization. That was a side note as well. No monetization. And everybody, if you guys didn't read it this week too, they are out of all those interviews, which was actually more important. They heard the feedback about the always online. They explained it more, but they said they are working on being able to patch that out. That they are going to get rid of the always online. So if you played single player, you can be offline. So if that was a major concern of yours, they are addressing it. They heard the feedback. They said that the reason why they did was because they were taking data about your play styles and how everybody was playing the game so that they could better tailor different aspects, better balance the game as it goes on, all that kind of stuff. But they heard the feedback and they are making adjustments and they are looking at ways to actually take that away. So, again, they listened.
Yeah, and the thing with these previews too, the one aspect that when you have these different content creators, and we've actually praised games like Hi-Fi Rush for not doing this, right? Yeah. Just launching without a lot of the feedback and expectations and people's opinions influencing others, right? When you have like all these, I think Colt said there's like 20 other content creators, like 20 content creators that was there or whatever. When you have all those different variants of opinions, some people only listen to one channel or one avenue of this, and their impact is going to be made by this one influencer or this one content creator.
Correct.
Right? As opposed to the whole overall general conversation that happens. But for the most part, looking at all of the consensus there from all the different opinions, it seemed like it was mostly positive, right? Maybe a couple people didn't like it. But if your bubble is within that creator, that's where you get your information, that's where you trust, may look bad, and this is where like sometimes not doing things like this may be for the better than doing things like this, right? Because if you put out like mixed perceptions and stuff like this, especially on a game that we've seen so much, I think people are just ready for this game to come out, and when it comes out, it's either going to hit or it's not going to hit, right? It's nice that it's talked about and it's building up a hype and stuff, but at times that can also kind of set kind of expectations or give people wrong impressions at times that we've seen in the past. So I like the idea, like Todd wants to always do, announce a game, show it off shortly before release, and then release it, right?
Yep.
And if you don't do that,
no previews, no preview copies.
Or if you announce the game 3 years prior, at least show it once in the meantime. But besides that, like, it's about controlling the narrative, right? And I think maybe this was their attempt at that, but it doesn't always necessarily have the results that you want.
Right.
You know? But overall, still, I think has been way more positive than anything come out of that event.
And I think it does go to the fact that this is Arcane's most important game that they've launched in a long time, right? That's how they feel internally, and it's being treated that way. ZeniMax and Microsoft are going the extra mile for Redfall to promote it, to get the word out. Again, Arcane games don't show the best. We saw a ton of Deathloop, and nobody knew what that game was still when it launched. Critics, were raving about it, and that got more people to play it, but people still didn't understand it. That's the way it is with all Arcane games. So the fact that they're treating it with this much care and giving it this much promotion, does, like you said, it can have that negative effect, but at the same time, I think it does show, it does show a different level of respect for this Arcane property. Especially as a new property, they want to get the word out there, and they want to give as many people a chance to try it, get hands on with it, to talk about it. So I got to give props to that, because I think it is important.
Yeah.
Shane, I 100% agree with you, brother. Anybody who came up with the 90 meta or above being the only game that's worthwhile playing is a big killer in this industry, and it has been. And me and Mav agree with you. Me and Mav have played 50 and 60 games that we love the hell out of, especially back in the day. So I absolutely 100% agree with you. That is the stupidest narrative ever. That's why we always say, got to play the games. If you have the opportunity on Game Pass to play the game, try it for yourself. Do not judge it. Do not.
Don't let some content creator make your own damn mind up, right? About things.
Don't let Metacritic make
Metacritic.
Again, if you got to spend money, sometimes I understand you're going to want to go try to find, you don't want to waste $70. I get it. I'm a budget gamer. I hate that too. But overall, hell no, there's plenty of
and that goes for
I love
games that everybody adores and loves.
Right.
That doesn't mean you have to love it either.
Nope.
You know what I mean? It's just not the way the world works. We have all different interests. We all have different preferences, right? Some like certain kind of gameplay style or certain kind of feel of a game. Some like different kind of vibe of a game. Different kind of mechanics and different kind of there's so many different things. But letting some kind of content creators influence your judgment of it before, when you were hyped, but now you're not because somebody else said that they're not, that's just like, it happens because the hive mind thing is real, right?
Yep.
And once that spreads, it can do detrimental effects. And I don't really have a pulse.
Suffered from it.
Yeah, for sure. As far as this game, I don't really have a pulse on really what the overall feeling is now, because I see like people talk about the negatives, but overall what I've seen from the previews was mostly positive. So, but people focus on the negative, right? So that's just what it is.
Much louder, no matter what it is, even if it's smaller. So,
we are only 6 subs away from hitting 3K.
Hey, again, everybody, perfect time to please hit the like button, and if you got a moment, share it out. Let's get those 6 subs for Fun Speculation Network by the end of the show. That would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you all. When you share it out, when you talk about us, when you do anything to interact with us, even if you lurk, it does not matter. You help that. But right now, 6 subs away. Let's do it. If you're not already subbed to this channel, Fun Speculation Network, if you like what you are hearing right here, you get this and more, because Mav's got a bunch of shows, including Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night, where we do it a little bit different. We laugh. We got a big panel. We go all over the place. We're crazy. You got FSP on Monday nights, which is another great supplemental show that comes in at a perfect time of the week that you can drop in and listen to and get some upcoming games for the week and get new perspectives from people like Fuzzy. 3-Bit jumps in there, Psychonaut. Listen, if you like what you hear here, please, if you haven't subbed, just sub. All right? Just sub. You won't be disappointed, I promise.
Thank you, chat. You guys rock.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely phenomenal.
Pong, I got somebody on Twitter. I want to give a shout out to this person. It's Nightcrawler at Santhony53 tagged me in this post. This is something that happened a few hours ago, and I completely missed this. Okay.
Okay.
So original tweet came from American Truck Songs, and this was from an article from Politico.
Truck Thongs? Wait, did you say Truck Thongs?
Truck Songs.
I thought you said Truck Thongs. I'm trying to give
credit where
what kind of post is this? What kind of post?
This is from a PoliticoPro.com article. Okay. So Senator Maria Cantwell, Democrat from Washington, criticized Sony Entertainment's monopoly control of the high-end gaming market during a hearing Thursday, and called on U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai to press Japan on the issue during ongoing trade talks. I'm told that Sony controls a monopoly of 98% of the high-end game market, yet Japan's government has allowed Sony to engage in blatant anti-competitive conduct through exclusive deals and payments to game publishers, Cantwell said during a Senate Finance Committee hearing. Also, Destin Legary had retweeted this as well, and said Sony has been lobbying in Washington against the Activision deal. Seems like they got some attention, but maybe not the kind that they wanted. So I'm going to read more of this. Let's see. Cantwell, it says Cantwell noted that the Japan's Fair Trade Commission has failed to investigate these exclusionary conducts before posing a question to Tai. So what do you think we do to better address these issues and create a level playing field with the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework on something as important as this issue?
This all happened because I wasn't going to talk about this.
We all talked about like Sony getting bit in the ass from their...
And there was an article earlier this week from Real Clear Markets map that came out, and that's obviously what spurred this. Interesting that somebody in Washington actually picked up on it. I got the Real Clear. I wasn't going to get into this because I was like, whatever, more ABKs. Of course Japan is going to back Sony. Of course, that's their home turf. Of course they are. Let me read this one real quick. So gaming the FTC, Japan colludes with antitrust regulators against Microsoft. While American politicians and the media focus on China's anti-competitive practices, similar practices in Japan go largely unnoticed. American auto manufacturers have long suffered from Japanese protectionism, and more recently, U.S. tech and gaming companies have become targets. Classic example of this Japanese protectionism is Sony and its PlayStation video game console, which controls more than 95% of the Japanese market for high-end consoles. Japanese Fair Trade Commission, JFTC, turns a blind eye as Sony violates Japan's antitrust laws with its aggressive efforts to stifle competition from its main competitor in the market, Microsoft, and the Xbox console and subscription service. For example, Sony rewards game publishers for not distributing their games through Xbox. While that goes unpunished, the JFTC aggressively investigates American companies. Meanwhile, the FTC Commission, America's competition regulator, along with the Justice Department, is effectively aiding Sony's monopolization of the Japanese market by trying to block a merger that would help Microsoft compete in the gaming industry. In December, the FTC filed, we already know all that. Let's see here. Let's get down here. The FTC is primarily concerned that Microsoft will use Call of Duty to attract gamers away from competitors and to Xbox. Never mind that Sony's PlayStation controls about 70% of the worldwide and nearly 60% of the American market for high-end gaming consoles. Market segment the FTC's complaint focuses on. In reality, the proposed merger would increase competition in the gaming industry by allowing Xbox to challenge Sony's dominance. Consider the juxtaposition. While the JFTC overlooks Sony's long-entrenched monopoly in Japan, the FTC is going after a merger whose only threat to competition is purely speculative. One factor behind the FTC's misguided effort is Sony's aggressive lobbying of the FTC as well as the European antitrust regulators, suggesting worst-case scenarios to justify intervention in the Activision deal. So focused is Sony on stifling competition from Xbox that it has refused Microsoft's offer of a deal that would allay excuse me, allay the FTC's concerns about Microsoft withholding or degrading Call of Duty. I won't go on because we know most of the rest of the stuff, but that was from Kurt Levy at Real Clear Markets. So I think that definitely had some impact, Matt.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah, remember all this talk is, hey, this is a Democrat too, right?
Yeah.
So, that party's been the major one, obviously, fighting against this merger. So maybe any attention drawn anti-Sony here is still maybe what is somewhat a benefit to Microsoft in this regard. Because it completely goes with the arguments that Microsoft's been making.
Correct.
So it's interesting, man. We'll see what happens, but the FTC, regardless, I think they're still going to keep fighting it, but lose in court at the end of the day. But I'm curious how this kind of news affects the other regulators as well.
This is Pandora's box, Mav, that we talked about, right? That Sony opened up Pandora's box, and you can't put it all back in once it's out. And like I said, and like you just brought up, Sony might live to regret this day. Again, that's you can't stop the locomotive once you've started it down the track at full speed. And that's exactly what Sony did with this, with their complaints, whether right or not. Again, I don't judge Sony for doing what they're doing to protect themselves, but it could have long-lasting consequences. Because if the U.S. does start now, all of a sudden putting pressure on Japan's FTC, the JFTC, then that could have an impact on PlayStation's homeland, their home turf. And it could have an impact on them, and it could have an impact on Nintendo, because Nintendo dominates over there as well. And all of a sudden, Xbox, who's been trying to break into that Eastern market time and time again, especially since Phil took over. Donnie D tried. He did give it a go. But Phil has made that known that that's next, that they want in over on the Eastern market. Yeah, all of a sudden, maybe that political pressure put some cracks in the armor of Sony over there. And all of a sudden, Microsoft finds a way to start gaining more ground. Again, never going to say Microsoft's going to dominate over there. I'm not stupid. I'm not that dude. But the fact is, they could gain a little foothold. They could get a little advantage if this goes further. So interesting. Glad you brought that up, man.
Yeah. And we did just officially hit 3K subscribers on the channel. Thank you, everybody.
Let's go.
You're amazing. Appreciate
Let's
you.
go, everybody. Legends. Every single one of you who
thanks
made
for helping
this
us with that push, for sure.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
How long have you had the channel for?
A little over like 2 years and maybe 2.5 years now.
Freaking insane, bro. Yeah. The growth that we've had since back in the day when I first.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot for like big channels, but it's a lot for us. You know what I mean? And like,
huge, man.
Never would I have anticipated, because we see like these channels that I looked up to when we first started on this. I started putting the podcast on YouTube, and when I was by myself and I didn't know anybody in the community. That's how it started, right? It was just a place to try and put a podcast because I wanted to do a podcast. It was Xbox Ultimate, pre-recorded. Did that. Didn't anticipate what would happen. Didn't think I was going to start streaming games. Didn't think I was going to start all these other shows. Didn't think I was going to meet all these awesome people. I had no clue when I saw these, live podcast channels that we see like have 1,500 subscribers, and those amazing people that have so many deep dives in the community, and all these bigger people out there. And then you get to become friends with all these guys, and then you get to all these relationships, and then you grow and have this family that shows up each week for multiple shows, and with a continuity for you guys, like people like you, Pong, that show up every week to see where we actually hit this milestone now, 3K. And it's because of the community, it's because of the chat, it's because of all the people that believed in what we do and see what we do and take it for what it is. It's a little bit different than some other channels do, right? And the appreciation is all from me to you guys. So appreciate it. Thanks again for helping us hit that 3K. Thanks to you, Pong, for being a huge part of this channel for such a long time as well, man.
Anyway. Honored, and pleasure's all mine, man. So again, to see what you and Caitlin have done over here is just insane. It's so inspiring to a lot of people. Again, we've seen so many new people jump into this community, and it's funny that we were the small fries, and we still are small.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just,
it's just again, like I said, it's still small potatoes, but for me, it's huge, right?
It's huge, but it's huge, man. Because again, even when I first started jumping in, like I was watching you stream games, there was like 5 of us in there watching you stream games, right? And I was chatting at you, and you were asking me what my favorite Call of Duty was, and I said Modern Warfare. And you were like, "Oh, that surprises me, but I think you're right. That might be the best, like the original
Modern Warfare is still my favorite. Yeah. Call of Duty 4.
Yeah. That's how Mav and I started talking, right? And at the same time, I was listening to like Iron Lords at that time. Iron Lords had like 50 people in their chat, maybe, right? The 50 people in their chat. Now look at them, and we're on the same trajectory here at Fun Speculation Network, and that's amazing to watch you guys do this because again, it's insane, and it's because of your dedication, Mav. Again. It's an honor and pleasure to be a part of it, but it's because of your dedication. It's because of all the streams you do, because of the one-man rants that you now have started doing. Like all that stuff adds up. And with Caitlin in the background the entire time, and her being your first guest on, for your first podcast or whatever, her being the guest and being the support that she has been behind the scenes and doing all the thumbnails and doing the advertising and all, like it's all of that makes the magic, man. And it's just amazing to see this happen. Again, shout out to the entire community. Shout out to the chat. Without you all, like Mav said, and like I always say, we are nothing. We're 2 gamers sitting around bullshitting about the industry, right? On Xbox Live. Not here, but here we get to share it with all of you and bring you in and have you listen and have you contribute to the show as well. Because again, a lot of the topics that we talk about is because the community's talking about this stuff. Mm-hmm. So thank you all. You're all a part of this Fun Speculation Network, but a huge shout out to you and Caitlin Mav. So happy for both of you and excited.
It's amazing too, seeing some of the names too that have been here from the get-go. You know what I mean? From the get-go. So, and we're going to keep doing this, 2.5 years in, we'll see where we are 2.5 years later, right? Five years down the road, we're going to keep at it. But thanks again.
You're gonna watch Mav and I get old.
Yeah.
And gray.
He's 70 years old. What do you think about Diablo 7, Pong Soul?
What do you think about Fallout 7? We're gonna see it before we croak.
Starfield 4 is looking fantastic, isn't it, Pong?
It's sad, but that's true. Like it's sad, but that's exactly how it would be at Starfield 4. Oh,
so Starfield 4 is going to be the next biggest thing in gaming.
Do you remember Starfield 1 when we thought it was so cool? We had 1,000 planets. Now we've got the entire universe to explore.
It's no longer the golden age of gaming. Now we're in the golden years. It's the golden years. It's our sunset years. Welcome to
it'll be Golden Years Gaming. Will be our new channel at that point, or a new show.
Hey,
I wish I had 10 more years to see Fallout 8.
I just can't
gonna make it.
I just can't move my character properly because this damn arthritis in my hand, Pong. So
we'll probably have virtual headsets on by that point. Yeah, doing the whole show in virtual reality with a virtual audience with all the people watching us. It'll be us 2 old fogies. It'll be fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, in just a few years, that'll be the case for you.
Yeah, it will be. It's true.
Grandpa Pong.
Yep. Can't get away from it. Catches all of us. What are we gonna say?
Shout out to Alvin, who hit us with a $2 super chat earlier. He said, FTC now a non-issue. U.S. decks are cleared. Yeah, I mean, the FTC has really been kind of a non-issue for a long time, right? Splendiferous hit us with a $2 super chat. Said,
shout out to Splen. What up, brother?
What's up, Splen? Said, congratulations, Mavi. Well-deserved, brother. Appreciate you, Splendiferous. Everybody, thank you again. And Vic the Click with the $5 super chat. Says, congratulations, bro. When I get home, I'll take 3 shots for you. Big 3K milestone. 5K, here we go. Yeah, we'll see when we hit that.
Go, Vic.
Thanks for all the viewers and everybody who watches. Either if it's a minute or a second.
Yeah, don't matter.
Yeah, and always all the support. Never expected, but always appreciated. Tony Grasso, member for 17 months, says, congrats on 3K. Glad to be here for a good part of it. Yeah, member for 17 months, right?
Incredible, Grasso.
Appreciate you all.
Big supporter. Yep. All of you. Again, thank you. Sorry, we got off on side tangent there, but it's worth it. Again, these milestones, they mean a lot, especially in this space. Again, to ever
live content without a lot of videos too is like a little different,
It's a lot.
Like Boomstick just hit 12K, right?
Right.
That was big, for like when you're like a podcast primarily only channel or primarily only live content, you don't get pushed out to like all the video stuff, like, you know what I mean? So
the algorithm hates you.
Yeah, but it's fun because what I originally wanted to do was develop a community of people that people that just want to have fun, talk about games and stuff, and show up and slow organic growth like PlayStation. Just kidding. But it's what it's all about, right? And Tony Grasso following that up with a very amazingly generous $20 wordless super chat. Thanks for the amazing donation.
Thank you.
Been amazing for a long time. All right, what else we got?
Yep.
Pong. Enough self-indulgence.
No. It's much deserved when this happens, and I don't think anybody in this chat would know it or expect anything different because it's well worth it. Again, just crazy. I always think about when I come into a podcast, it doesn't matter how big the audience is. What's insane to me is I pictured that many people, even 20 people, sitting out in like chairs,
lawn chairs,
like listen to me bullshit. Like it's crazy. And here we got almost 200, right? 200 people in the theater watching us bullshit about games. My God, it's stupid to think about this stuff. So I appreciate it, man. Just awesome stuff, man. All right. Let's see. We've already, 2.5 hours in. All right. We are rocking and rolling here.
Yeah, it's only 2 topics down. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Let's get into some Sony stuff, Mav. September could be an interesting month around these parts, bro.
Let's go.
Oh, we think the circus is up in arms now. Oh God, I'm almost dreading it. Anyways, for everybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, of course, this is non-console centric here on PM and the PM. So we're going to talk about everything, even though normally it is Xbox because Xbox dominates news cycles. But we got some interesting stuff this week, Mav. The voice actor for Venom, an Insomniac game Spider-Man 2. Of course, the one and only Tony Todd, for all of you who know who Tony Todd is, happened to put out a tweet this week that probably wasn't Sony, PlayStation, Jim Ryan, Herman Holst, Insomniac approved by any stretch of the imagination, because he put out a tweet on March 21st at 1:56 p.m. that says, looks like September. Massive publicity coming in August. Commercials start dropping in August, so I'm told. Hold on to your blank and hold your breath. Gonna be necessary.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mav. And then he did a tweet later where he was in his private pool with his mouth covered with just his nose and his eyes above the water saying, that's enough for me. That's like, I got the call. Like, no, it sounds like, Mav. We haven't seen anything for Spider-Man 2. A lot of people are talking about that. We got the plan was still 2023 launch, fall time. But we haven't seen anything. Sony hasn't had a big showcase in forever. Almost a year and a half, 2 years now. They haven't had a showcase. They've had state of plays, obviously, but not showcase. So everybody was kind of wondering what the hell's going on with Spider-Man 2. Is it going to make it? Is it not? Obviously, according to Tony Todd, sounds like behind the scenes, that's the word he's getting, is September. What else launches in September, Mav? A little game.
The one that we wanted to come out in March.
An indie. Wasn't it an indie game?
Yeah,
wasn't it an indie game we were hyped for?
Something about like a Fields of Stars.
Yes, of course. God.
Fields of
God
Stars.
Howard.
Oh, Starfield.
God Howard is coming with Starfield. Yes, that's right. Starfield drops in September. September, Mav. If this comes to pass, and there's a long time between here and there, we obviously don't have any official dates, and they haven't even showed anything from Spider-Man 2 at all, besides a teaser, a title screen. So Spider-Man 2 and Starfield. What do you think, Mav? You think we can count on Spider-Man 2 showing up in September, and we're going to have the heavyweight battle of exclusives, and it's going to be all-out warfare in these streets? Oh, my.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I just want to be here for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want to see the back and forth and the ridiculous conversations, but more than that, I want that type of month to exist in gaming where the big players of the console platforms have their biggest releases go head to head, right? It's just it'd be nice to see, two completely different kinds of games two completely different kinds of ecosystems. You're not going to really be able to measure them one to one.
Oh, like, but it'll still happen.
It'll still happen. Right? Like you got Starfield, which will be in Game Pass, and it's going to have a lot of users because it's going to be in Game Pass, but also it's going to be on Steam and other places as well, right? And where you have Spider-Man 2 is only going to be on PS5 and be for sale for $70, right? So you got like this battle of mindsets almost with like what ecosystem could drive the most success for a game. And you got one's going to have a shit ton of sales, or one's going to have more engagement, but still a shit ton of sales. Just maybe not as much as the other one. The thing is, like, it's interesting to think long term about both of these games too, because if you just focus on the short term aspects of it, I think like Spider-Man 2 is going to be like, wow, look at all these sales and stuff, right? But 10 years from now, when we look back on it, like what will have been the bigger game, you know? And it's going to be interesting to see how that all unfolds. But I can't wait. I just want to see how good they are. For me, like I loved the first Spider-Man game, the Spider-Man 2018. Mm-hmm. But when I played Miles Morales, I just couldn't get as sucked into it. I think maybe because I felt like I was doing a lot of the same stuff. Spider-Man 2, for that reason, doesn't have me super hyped. But I understand it's going to be amazing. Yep. Insomniac is going to nail this out of the park. It's going to take advantage of all the PS5 has to offer finally and all of these kind of things. And it's going to sell like bananas because Spider-Man is one of the most popular brands and IPs in the world, right?
Yep.
But on the other hand, you have this multifaceted ecosystem where you have also one of the best creators in gaming history and Todd Howard making his next beloved baby for all fans of RPGs, Western style RPGs to enjoy. And
rare sci-fi one at that.
It's sci-fi as well. So, you know, sci-fi RPGs already have a lot of hype usually around them when they come out.
Because they're rare.
Yeah. I mean, you got your Mass Effects, you got, you know, Starfield, and
you got flight sim games, you got No Man's Sky.
I mean, there's not.
I mean, it's got RPG elements to it now.
But for like a big RPG like this, you know, I mean, you guess you could say like Star Wars, like Knights of the Old Republic, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You know, but yeah, it is rare to have a game like this in this setting come out, and to marry that with Bethesda is why I'm most excited. So my hype is mainly around Starfield. I'll get around to playing Spider-Man 2 at some point, but I can't wait to see like overall what happens with these two games in the same month. And as amazing as 2023 is,
yeah,
that's going to be like, if that actually happens, that's going to be like the apex of the year, right? I feel like all this amazing awesomeness is leading up to that moment,
right?
And then we're going to be in like gaming glory, you know, like we still have Diablo to play. We'll have all of these amazing games, all these other fucking strategy games that are going to keep coming out, like all this stuff, all these other things that we just keep playing and talking about, all this stuff. And then yet the two biggest heavy hitters still in September, and going to be monumental type games, I believe, right? So we still got to see some more Spider-Man 2. But still, like we've seen more from Starfield by far at this point.
Oh yeah, we haven't seen anything.
So, it's funny that to say that though, because you know how much criticism. What is Starfield? Why are people even excited for Starfield?
Maybe we should go on Twitter and see what is Spider-Man?
What is Spider-Man 2?
Why are you guys excited? You don't know anything about it?
Yeah.
It could be totally different games.
People obviously have an expectation, right? And that's what we had for Starfield, and that's just funny. And I think that Spider-Man 2 is going to be huge. It's going to be both huge games. At the bad side of it, you're going to have people like doing stupid shit on Twitter, like, look at these watermelons. They don't pop in this game, but they do in this game. Or like, look at the voice acting or the facial animations in this game versus this game. Like completely ignoring like the scope and ambitions of both games, right? So you're going to see a lot of ridiculousness calling it now on Twitter. And
you know, all we need, Mav, is Nintendo to come out and announce that they're moving Zelda this September. That's all we need now.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom, September. to go along, have all 3 big games released in September. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Absolute shit show. What's going on? What's going on? You got something going on?
No, I'm trying to look up how many lifetime sales Skyrim has.
Oh, okay. Okay. And shout out to Splen. Listen, Splen, brother, trying to avoid it, but you had to bring it up in chat, didn't you? Yes, I know today is the day that we were supposed to be playing Star. Okay, this is the day that we were supposed to have it in our hands.
This is the day.
It is the day, and I was avoiding it. I wasn't going to bring it up, but Splen did in the chat. So thanks, Splen. Appreciate that. Yes, Marchers forever. Marchers for life. We died on that hill, but Mav and I are still podcasting. So, and we're excited for September. So, and we got a lot between here and there. So, but thanks, Splen. Appreciate you, brother. But yeah, yes, stuff, Sean. Yes, we need Nintendo to move Zelda Tears of the Kingdom to September as well, so we can look. We don't get the big 3 at E3 anymore. That used to be the prime time event, the heavy hitters trying to one up each other every E3. It was freaking amazing. If you weren't around for that time, I feel sorry for you because you don't know what you missed. But Mav and I were, and a lot of you in the chat were, because I know a lot of you are in our age group. May not be as old as me, but you all are in our age group between me and Mav. And you all remember when the 3 heavy hitters went at it during E3. Missed those times. So what Mav is saying is true. September's got me excited. Even though I don't have PlayStation 5, I would not be excited for Spider-Man 2 because I played Spider-Man the original and it was like, okay, this is a cool game. It's a good game, but not me because I don't really care about superheroes like that and it's not the big deal. But I understand how big it is for everybody else. And I'm cool with that. But the fact that we are getting potentially a heavyweight match between 2 of the biggest games potentially of the year, and the fact that they both could come out and get critical praise and be up for game of the year in the same month, that's special. And it's going to be fun. Again, I'm not as looking forward to the nonsense in this community that's going to come into play. That I'm not looking forward to. Will some of it be funny and ridiculous and whatever, and I'll laugh a little bit? Of course. But there's going to be a lot of horse shit around here too. And it's going to stink. It's going to stink. Okay? It's not going to be pretty. But you know what? I'm not even going to care because I'm going to be traveling the cosmos. I'm not going to be worried about web slinging in New York. I'm going to be traveling the cosmos, setting up base camps, pirating, and doing all the fun stuff I'm doing in Starfield. But it's still going to be a great time to be a gamer, especially for those multi-console owners out there. Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see how many people pick up both and are trying to play both. Or maybe people just pick up Spider-Man 2, finish it off in a couple weeks and then head over to Starfield. Whatever the case may be, It's not going to matter. It's still going to be a great time to be a gamer. Golden age of gaming. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Nintendo, you cowards. September, do it.
Do you think Microsoft bundles Starfield with all the consoles that they put out?
Do I think that Microsoft will bundle?
Yeah.
I think there'll be bundles. I think there'll be Starfield bundles.
But will that be the only way to buy the game? To buy the console with the Starfield bundle?
I said that I believe there's a potential that they go that Sony route and start doing that. Yeah, I do. Series X's for sure.
That's very interesting because that contributes a lot to sales of a game sometimes, right?
100%.
Did you know that Spider-Man 2018? I just looked this up because 3-Bit threw some numbers out there, and I was like, "What?" Right? I knew it sold like crazy, over 20 million.
Yes.
But as of May of last year, it's 33.
33, right? Yeah.
As of May of last year, so it's probably 35 or so. I don't know how many, but
approaching Skyrim numbers.
The Skyrim's as of last year was 30 mil. So it's
not last year. It was before last year.
Was it? I don't know. I think it was 2022.
The last numbers they had was 30 million and 20, I want to say 2018, 2019 was 30 million. Okay. So that's why I always say that it's probably 40 million at this point. Again, it's been re-released so many times that I believe it's got to be at 40 million.
I was trying to find out an exact number.
But somewhere in there, yeah. Spider-Man's insane.
It's nuts. But I think that's benefited in some ways because Spider-Man had the remaster re-release with Spider-Man Miles Morales. Yeah. But also had
and they had 100 million consoles as well.
Yeah, and they had 100. Right, they had a lot of bundles that they sold. Plus, they had PS4. So I don't I think Spider-Man 2 is gonna be huge. but because it's not going to be that cross-gen title,
correct. I don't think it's going to be PC day one either.
Yeah, and there's not as many PS5s as were PS4s at that time.
Nope.
So I think it's going to not be able to hit those numbers, but over time, because of the bundles, I think they're going to have the bundles and they'll be selling a lot of PlayStations because of it.
Oh,
right?
Yeah,
so that'll help those numbers 100%. As well. So I'm curious like what the numbers are going to be like. Although really at the end of the day, they're both going to be massive games. It doesn't really matter. But if Microsoft does bundle that console with Starfield and that becomes the primary way, hopefully they keep it at 500 and still come out with the bundle, right? For a holiday push, you know?
Yep.
That could do wonders if they get their stock in order for the Series X. Right. But we're just talking about hardware here, right? The cool thing about Starfield is you don't have to have an Xbox to play it.
Yeah.
So.
And the other little tidbit, and Tom Henderson brought this up. Shout out to Tom over at InsiderGaming.com. I always promote him. Again, a lot of people hate insiders and leakers. I don't care. I love them. So, and shout out to the good ones, and Tom Henderson's one of the good ones. So, he brought up the point too, Mav. Interesting that this, it came out from an actor, right? But interesting because it lines up with what he's been hearing when the new PlayStation 5 model comes out, is also September.
Yeah.
Right. So interesting that they would probably, from a business stand, want that. That is going to sell a gazillion consoles, having Spider-Man 2 and the new console out at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're going to be able to bundle it. That one will be that'll be digital only.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because if they really make it like nice and sleek looking, finally.
Yes. And if they have a Spider-Man 2 edition, man,
I'll probably buy once that comes out. If it looks good. I may dive back in at that point on PlayStation, but I'm also kind of got my wanting to see what happens next year with that possible PS5 Pro, So it'll be interesting. I wonder how trimmed down they will be able to make it. But if you look at their like the last model that PlayStation released, where somebody like disassembled it, I don't remember who it was that did that, but they took apart. Man, the innards of that thing are like so small compared to the shell now. Because they've like removed so much of the like hardware and stuff from there, because they're able to optimize it, right? So it's like a huge fucking plastic shell that's from space, like a monolith, like looks like a structure from Mass Effect Andromeda that you have to go activate or some shit, right?
Right.
Whereas
it's true.
Whereas now it's gonna look like probably significantly smaller. I know the heat will still be an issue, so there's got to leave some space and stuff for that, but. I am curious what that's going to look like. And having that hard drive removed is a benefit for me because I don't care about the disc tray.
Right.
Right. So, but we'll see. Xbox has also been rumored to have another series version of these consoles in the works without a disc tray as well, like a Series X other type, right?
You saw GDC, right? Microsoft had their whole lineup of Xboxes from all the years and all the different versions. And they had neon set up claiming the years, and they had these nice displays where they had all the different consoles that they'd made through the years, and they went to Series X at 2020, and then they had a question mark and a blank spot for another console right there. So maybe that's the slim down version, right? Maybe we are going to get that this year.
I think if we did get like a new Xbox mid-gen type thing in 2025-ish or so, it would make sense for them to have that like slim down version before that for sure.
Yes.
Because that would kind of replace what our refrigerator Xboxes that we have now, right?
Yeah, correct. And maybe that's what they're getting ready for. Maybe that's why the Series X is still not able to find them, Mav. Maybe they're doing it on purpose. Maybe they're lining up manufacturing for the new model already.
I hope so. If it's
certainly possible.
We've seen those Starfield boxes out there, right? So
yeah, we did see those. So they're
I'm curious when those are going to hit the U.S. shelves, because usually, for like they say, usually those are on shelves sooner than later, right after.
We did see a couple in the wild in the East, right?
In the East, for sure, but I don't think they've maybe been in the West yet. And those pictures came out like January.
Yep.
So curious when that's going to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, and Fahim and Sky L. Yeah, that's what I was saying. A special edition PS5. You guys both said like a black PS5, all black, and Sky L said Venom version of a PS5 slimmed down. Bro, that would sell like freaking hotcakes. Like they wouldn't be able to keep those in stock. Like it'd be over with. Like remember the Spider-Man PS4s? Those went like hotcakes.
Oh yeah,
right?
those were all over the place. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was probably
All right.
that's probably one of the most popular selling consoles.
Yes. Yes. That was huge, and I can't imagine what it'd be now,
Oh.
especially if everybody's upgrading to a smaller
Could
one.
you?
too.
Yeah, if they have, I'm sure they'll have
Yeah.
one of those because it works so well
Right.
from the last time. Can you imagine Spider-Man 2 like design they could have with that with
That's what I'm saying.
both
Or a
Miles
Venom,
and
do a Venom one.
Oh, a Venom one. Wow.
Yeah, all black. Ooh, that would look good. That would look real good.
That's one thing I want Xbox to do. Like they have some cool consoles occasionally, but we've only seen one iteration so far this generation with that Halo Infinite special one, right?
I wish I would have done faceplates again for this one. Somehow.
Faceplates. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the faceplates. I thought the faceplates were cool.
I'm curious.
360.
Starfield, they got to have something. I hope so.
Yeah, I think they will. I think Starfield, now that they've moved it to September, I think they'll have the special edition console, and I think they will have controllers, obviously. So
yeah,
I just got my heart set on it because I believe when they do the showcase, Mav, is when pre-orders are going to go live.
Yeah,
on June 11th, and that special edition is going to go live. That collector's edition.
That watch one, yeah.
I'm gonna be while we're doing, because we're gonna be podcasting all freaking day that day. It's gonna be ridiculous hype. As soon as Todd announces it, man, I'm gonna have to try.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a browser on or something to try and get it. Because I want one of those too. If we can get it at the time.
One of the only collector's editions I'll ever buy. I used to buy them sporadically back in the day, but I'm never that type of collector for video games. But this one for Starfield, for sure.
Yeah. So Nick's asked what's included in the special edition: a badass watch.
Yes.
The badass watch
that you saw, the case that you saw in the first video, first trailer, the case that's sitting there, that's already, we've seen that. People have had pictures of that case manufactured. So the case, and then you're going to open it up, and it's probably going to have the watch in there, which is going to be the major thing, the smartwatch, which now all the schematics are out. There's no question that they've manufactured this. Now, they could turn around and sell the watch separately on the Bethesda website. They do sell a lot of stuff on the Bethesda website. That certainly could still happen, but it would make the most sense to be that as a part of the collector's edition. And then what else we get in there? I would imagine the Eon Zur soundtrack for Starfield, which would be freaking dope because, my God, it's going to be so damn good. And maybe a art book as well. That would be my guess, Mav. Wouldn't that be yours?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but the watch is going to be the centerpiece.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's the thing. I saw it and it's like I would actually rock that because it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks freaking dope.
You gonna wear it to work? You gonna wear it to work, Pong?
I don't know. That I would have to decide if I'm going to actually wear it out or if it's just going to be something I have and I wear it around the house or I wear it when I'm playing just because I get that Starfield.
Right on.
Like a little kid, wearing the costume.
You can put your Pip Boy on the other hand. You could rock a
I don't
Pip
have a
Boy.
Pip Boy. I did never have a Pip Boy. Pip Boys were pretty damn cool. I thought about it at one point, but I never rocked it. Well, shit. We're coming up on 3 hours. Looks like we're going to go a little long tonight, Mav. So let's get...
We haven't even talked about Hellblade.
We haven't talked about Hellblade. We haven't talked about... Listen, we got to bring this up, Mav, real quick, too. Counter-Strike 2, everybody. I'm not a Counter-Strike guy. I played it. Just not a Counter-Strike guy, but I'd be dumb to ignore the fact that after all these years, Counter-Strike still has over 1 million players on a regular basis. So obviously, when it comes to gaming news, people have been wondering about this. With Valve, you never know. Like, it's all secret. Like, again, Half-Life 3 has been rumored forever. We never see it, and it's never out there. But with Counter-Strike, same thing. People have been playing Counter-Strike forever. CSGO, again, on a regular basis, over 1 million players. So this was obviously big news that Valve decided to drop out of the blue on everybody. Oh, by the way, here comes Counter-Strike 2. And they put out videos with some of the overhaul that they've done. Again, it's going to be a free update for everybody. But all your freaking valuable knife skins that you paid $1,000 literally for are going to carry over. So they're doing it the right way. But yeah, Counter-Strike 2 announced. Their official tweet was today. We are excited to announce Counter-Strike 2. Counter-Strike 2 is an overhaul to every system, every piece of content, and every part of the CS experience. First, let's talk about the smoke grenades, and then went to smoke grenades. Like I said, they released a bunch of videos to go along with this. So Counter-Strike 2, Mav, my God, finally, after all this time. Did you ever play Counter-Strike? You're muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry, professional.
Because professional.
I did only on the 360 version that they had. I was never really into it too much.
Right.
The I was more into like games like Shadowrun back then, right? Than Counter-Strike. But if they release a new version on console at some point, I'll play it. You know, but it doesn't really excite me. But it is a big deal. Right, it's still one of the most played games out there. It's insane.
Yeah, that's what I said. Millions of regular. It's over a million users a day.
It's nuts. So this is gonna be a huge deal and reinvigorate that community even more. Yeah. So I'm happy for everybody that plays it. I'm sure the competitive scene is happy as well. You know.
Yes.
But yeah, cool.
Yeah, cool. I know. Hey, like I said, I'm not ignorant to the fact of how big a news this is.
Oh yeah, it's pretty big.
Even if it's something we don't talk about regularly, it doesn't matter. Like, that's a huge community. Again, anytime you got a community that pays thousands of dollars for knife skin, it's just crazy.
Will Counter-Strike 2 be an NFT game?
Nope, I don't think so. I don't think they're dumb, and they're moving everything over, which is cool. So that's good on them.
Pong, we just got a $5 super chat from the legendary Randall Thor 19.
What? Yeah. Rand in here lurking? Look at you, Rand. Love you, brother.
Rand's usually a lurker. He only talks when he super chats.
And Dark Rand is out in full force, man. He's been giving it.
Well, he's
the PlayStation guys.
He's Dark Rand right here with a $5 super chat. He says everybody wants Xbox exclusives. Yeah.
Yes.
It's an interesting time we live in. Yeah, it's an interesting time we live in now that people want Hellblade 2 and Redfall and those kind of games, right?
ZeniMax is trash. Starfield. When the acquisition happens, ZeniMax sucks.
What? They don't even make anything now. Bethesda, they're like Telltale.
Yeah, like Telltale. Yeah, correct.
But Starfield's got to prove its worth of existence, because it's like other space games exist. What is it doing?
It's going to get lost to games like No Man's Sky. Just dumb. But yes, you're all right, Rand. Xbox exclusives seem to be the hot commodity right now. So hey, it's gonna be all year long too at this point. So just wait, you got more coming.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be good. But yeah, shout out to Rand, man. Love you, brother. Appreciate you dropping in for sure. All right, Mav. Let's do it. Let's do the Hellblade stuff. Let's do Unreal at GDC, Games Developer Conference. We do happen to get news that comes out of GDC. Like, that's still a place where a lot of deals are done, a lot of things happen. But I gotta say, like, the dominating thing that I saw this week on Twitter was Unreal Engine flexing. Unreal 5 flexing everywhere. We had new games, we had tech demos, we had all sorts of conversations about Unreal 5 this week, new tool sets, developers out here praising it. But obviously the one that caught everybody's attention was the Ninja Theory tech demo, in which they had the actress, her name just slipped my mind. Mav, help me. Do you remember her name? I forget her name.
The character Senua. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I know the character. Awesome. I don't know why the actress just freaking slipped my complete mind as I was talking.
Maybe somebody in the chat can
help us. Yeah, somebody in the chat. The actress.
Melina Juergens.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
I think. Yeah, Melina Juergens. Yeah.
Yeah, Melina Juergens. Thank you. So Melina Juergens. They show her in we don't get to see it, but we've already seen it before. But Ninja Theory has the state-of-the-art mocap facility now in their brand new studio that Microsoft isn't building out their existing studios. I don't know, Mav. I don't know if you heard this, but they don't invest. They should invest in their own studios. Oh, by the way, they do invest in their own studios. That's right. Ninja Theory got a brand new studio a few years back now, with a state-of-the-art mocap. So anyways, they got Melina Juergens in the mocap studio, obviously. And this is showing off the meta-human technology part of Unreal 5, which we've seen in the past, where it makes it easier for developers to make lifelike characters, even without mocapping, They've made it much easier if you go look at the tech to design and develop these lifelike characters for your video games. But anyways, they had her mo-capped up, and they show her approaching the screen, and you can see her. She's getting ready to get into character. She closes her eyes, and they get real close, and the camera's basically over her eyes and just above her mouth because she's got her head kind of bowed down. And you see her getting ready to go into character of Senua, right? And then all of a sudden, the screen kind of gets dark. You can still see her face, but it gets really shadowy. And all of a sudden, it comes back in, and all of a sudden, it's the game, but you can't tell in a lot of ways if it's her or if it's the game.
Yeah.
So this is the tech demo. Again, this wasn't new gameplay or anything from Hellblade 2, but the tech demo to show off Unreal 5. But then she goes in and she starts talking. And let me tell you, first of all, she's an amazing actress. Actor.
And which wasn't her original role.
No, she was an admin, right?
I don't remember exactly. But
I believe she was an admin or community. She was either part of the community team over there at Ninja Theory, or she was an admin role. And they needed somebody to fill in to do Senua for something. And she did such a great job. They turned her into Senua. And now this is what she does. It's freaking crazy. She's freaking amazing. And she does this whole speech while there's smoke and fire burning in front of her. They actually have the reflection in her eyes. You can see the fire, the reflection in her eyes. But this is so impressive, Mav. This is so impressive. The dude on Twitter, Okami, what's his name? Okami Games? Is that what it is? I think it's Okami Games. I had it and then my phone flipped and now I lost it again. But I believe it's Okami Games. Yes, Okami Games. He tweeted out the original Unreal Engine 4 tech demo for the first Hellblade, which had her mo-capped in, more full body, showing off Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5. And that was 7 years ago. That was in 2016. The difference, Mav, is stupid. The difference is, again, when people say technology is starting to peak, that gaming is starting to peak, that graphics are starting to peak, and I'm not saying that this is exactly what it's going to look like in game. I'm not that dumb either. This is a tech demo. But the fact that they can even get this to this point, Mav, where you can't tell, like if you just quick looked at the screen, you could be convinced that it was an actor playing a part. It's not until you really look at it, and her lips, and I saw some people pointing that out, the lips kind of look kind of funny during some of the talking. The fact that we've gotten to this point, Mav, is insane to me in 7 years. Like, this was so impressive. It blew up on the internet. Right? It blew up on the internet. But if you were paying attention to her speech, it definitely gave you some more insight into what they're doing with this game in Hellblade 2. The atmosphere and the tone, which we did see a lot in that Game Awards gameplay kind of reveal that we saw. But her mindset, Senua's mindset in the game that's coming up in Hellblade 2, she's not a meek girl anymore who has voices in her head, who's wondering what's going on, and she's trying to control them. And she's controlling now. And she's angry.
Yep.
And she's coming for blood. Because she says during that, and I put this tweet up with the quote is, I will not appease your gods. I will destroy them. She's after somebody or something in this game. And that's what caught me off guard. But how impressed were you by this demo here, Matt?
That's super impressed. I think, I mean, it shows with Unreal, obviously, with metahuman stuff, but also Ninja Theory, because regardless of the tools and how amazing the tools are, you have to have the talent and the engineers and the people that are pushing the boundaries of using those tools to the utmost, right? And we saw this before from Ninja Theory in the past with the original Hellblade. And if you play Hellblade 1 on with the Series X update right now, that thing's fucking glorious, right? I mean, that is still to this day, as far as like acting versus a real person to transitioning to a game character, like it's the most like 1-to-1 I've seen, with facial animation, expression, all these kind of things. Then you give the muscle and might of Microsoft and the money behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. New mocap studio. Do it.
Yep.
Expand your team. Do it. No rush. Going to give you the time you want to make this everything you want it to be. You come out with results like this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And who was it that said, why did Microsoft even buy a company like Ninja Theory? What does that do for culture? What does that do? I look at you and I say, this is why. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Colin. Right? Mm-hmm. This is why. Because the talent behind the studio is really just blatant.
Oh yeah,
it's like the coalition were known as like some of the Unreal Engine masters out there, like kind of undisputed from people in gaming.
Right.
Got another player there now with Ninja Theory, showing that they know how to take full advantage of this technology and really utilize it. And it's not just the tools, right? The tools are amazing. We've seen plenty of Unreal Engine games in the past that have been ass. Right? And Unreal Engine 4 was the next best thing.
Oh, it's still dev talent.
Yeah. Hellblade 1 was what it was because of Ninja Theory utilizing those amazing tools that they had, right? Same thing. You can give a bunch of idiots the same set of tools, but the masters are going to use those tools better, right? You got the master craftsmen out there knowing how to utilize to the utmost. And Ninja Theory with mocap, they've shown it in the past, they've shown it now. They are maybe the best in the industry with this kind of tech. And they're showing off their talents with this, right? They wanted to show off here. Now people say, yeah, I want to see gameplay. I get all that. I want to see gameplay.
Oh yeah.
The last gameplay we saw, nobody believed it because it was too impressive.
Right.
Also, I would say that Ninja Theory has earned the benefit of the doubt because of their last game. Ninja Theory, sorry, the last Hellblade game, not Bleeding Edge, but because of the last Hellblade game, they've earned the benefit of the doubt with what they can do with graphics and stuff like that and everything. Where the questions come into play is like, hey, gameplay aspects, fighting, combat, these kind of things. What's that going to play like, right? But I still feel like the last games that they've done with that, they've done really solid, So I really have no like major concerns over this game. I'm just marvel at what we saw. And I look at it and be like, damn, that Microsoft hit the money on the head when they acquired Ninja Theory. Right? Because not only did they give them all the time they need, they invested in them to grow them, they nurtured them, they gave them new offices, new mocap studio, all this stuff. And now they're going to potentially have one of the biggest games for Xbox in the next couple of years, right? Maybe later this year. For all the promoting we're starting to see for Hellblade 2, it's looking possibly more likely. Maybe it's next year. I don't know. But it's damn impressive, man. This also, like, we talked about this a long time ago, Pong, when people originally criticized Microsoft and Game Pass, saying it was going to just be a bunch of shovelware stuff. And they were just going to put games out. And we argued at that time against, and these are the same naysayers still, same kind of people that don't want the ABK deal to pass. The same kind of people that, like, we only want to buy physical. The same kind of people that we only want this. We only want that. We want everything to stay the way it's always been. We argued with that with this gaming subscription service to the point that it actually benefits the developers because it takes pressure off, right? Because now with Microsoft, and Microsoft's no longer just relying on, well, we got so much investment in this game, we need the payoff. Right? We need to get the return because we can't keep putting money into it without a return. The game has changed now because they're anticipating not as many sales of games, they're anticipating more subscriptions and engagement in Game Pass, right? So they need these games to be better and as good as they possibly can because it's the image of the subscription service. It's the image of the brand, right? And you want to draw that engagement. You want to have a staple of quality. You want to have
it's got to be diverse.
Yeah.
It has to be everything.
You can't be the subscription service that's known for shit.
Right.
Being in
it's not going to work.
It doesn't work. You got to have good quality stuff. Like that's why like Stranger Things draws subscriptions to Netflix or like all these different things. Like, when you have quality, it draws people in. And that was the argument that we made a long time ago That this has been a benefit. It can take pressure off the devs, going to give them more time. Sometimes it can be not enough pressure, I would say, for Microsoft, right? But going to give them the time to take everything they need to make the game as good as they possibly can. Are there still deadlines that they got to meet? Are there all these things? Sure, there are, right? But what we've seen from Microsoft now is give them more time. Give these people more time. Invest in this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's give them more time. We saw it with Psychonauts 2. We've seen it with Starfield now, right? So we're going to see, hopefully, if Microsoft doesn't make a bunch of crazy promises that they put out there and have to fall on their face again and again. I think we're starting to see this ball rolling starting this year, because this year's already amazing. And it's going to continue to be amazing. If Hellblade 2 hits this year, it's going to be even more amazing. We're getting to that point now where this staple of quality is going to start happening, like consistently, right? So props to Ninja Theory for showing off and being the talk of the town at an impressive event in general. If you have that kind of impressive event in general, and you come out being the talk, the conversation, because everybody was wowed by you.
Yep.
You know, it's like going to a science fair with a bunch of geniuses, and yet when you leave, everybody's just talking about the amazing thing that you made. You know what I mean? Like, they showed off here, and it was fucking impressive.
It was. Extremely impressed. And again, this is the stuff that everybody ignores. That, again, we've been talking about it so long. Microsoft is investing in their own studios. Every single studio that they've acquired is growing. Many of them have gotten brand new state-of-the-art studios on top of not just growing their staff. They are being given more time. They've been given more money to work with. They've been allowed to do passion projects, which never would have gotten greenlit had they not been acquired by Microsoft. Microsoft is growing every single one of the studios. And the same thing will happen with ABK. And you can say, oh, how is that going to happen? They're so damn big. Microsoft is going to do right by ABK, by those studios, by those devs. They're going to allow them to potentially bring back old franchises, potentially make more new franchises. They're going to reinvigorate those studios and bring in new talent to replace a lot of the fantastic talent. And ABK is still very talented, but they lost a lot of talent. Microsoft is going to reinvigorate that. They do grow their own studios organically. They do improve the studios they acquire through all of this. And Ninja Theory is a perfect example. They would not be able to pull off. This is a studio with high aspirations, with some of the biggest aspirations out there. Project Mara, we haven't talked about that forever. They're trying to create some of the most realistic visuals that have ever been seen in video game history with Project Mara. This is a team with goals that well exceeded what they were able to do on their own. Microsoft came in and didn't stifle those goals. They fertilized those goals. They said, no, go for it, grow, become what you can become. We believe in you. Here's money. Here's a new studio. Here's mocap. Here's time. Here's talent. Do it. Make yourselves the best devs you can ever be. That's the part that I always think is lost. And again, Ninja Theory right here is doing it. They're showing it right here. And again, like I said, I'm not dumb. I know this is a tech demo. I'm not expecting it to look exactly like this in the game. But if you go look at the Unreal Engine 4 tech demo that they put out for Hellblade 1, like Mav was talking about, and you go play Hellblade 1 right now on your Series X, it's pretty damn close. And in fact, there might be some things that are even better in it. So that was the big news out of GDC, Unreal. A couple other things you guys should go watch. If you haven't, go watch that in 4K, number one. Watch everything in 4K. Again, I will tell you this nonstop. Please, if you have the ability, please go watch all of these video games, no matter what it is. Go back and watch it in 4K if available. Go watch the Lords of the Fallen. Remember, they're rebooting that, folks. That is an Unreal Engine 5. For all you Souls fans out there who don't remember Lords of the Fallen because it tried, it just didn't do what it needed to do at the time, but it was early on in the Souls kind of, the Souls genre coming into its own. It was very early on in that, but they're rebooting it. Go watch that trailer, Lords of the Fallen at 4K from Unreal Engine 5. You want to talk about details? They have in-engine game scenarios in this trailer, and they kind of slow it down and then zoom in on the details of the characters, the different materials, the little touches. Unbelievable stuff. Go watch Lords of the Fallen trailer. And then the other one, the cool one that I thought, Mav, that I think it's a tech demo, but I think there might be a real game here, is that Infinitesimals. Did you see this one, Mav? It looked like Grounded.
No, I did not. I didn't. I skipped past that
Okay.
one.
Bro, it's cool as shit. You got to go watch it. It's cool. Like it's just cool. It looks almost exactly like Grounded. If you caught some of the scenes where they're going through like the plants and that kind of stuff, that's what it's like. But you're like this grasshopper dude, and you're like going to battle with different bugs and stuff. Like, it's very cool, and there's like a whole adventure surrounding this. Like, they called it a tech demo, but I really think this
was this. Where was this in the show? Was it like in the middle part? Or?
It was early. It was
on?
earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, it was early on. Infinitesimals, Unreal Engine 5 gameplay demo. Go check it out. It looks cool as hell. And yes, there's a lot of Grounded to it, but it looks original and it looks fun. Like, you get to ride bugs and stuff, like do all sorts of, it looks cool. So go check that one out as well. What else came out at GDC? Man, did you check out Project M at all?
No,
for Project M from
as far as GDC and those, I didn't have a chance to dive too much.
Okay, you haven't really got a chance.
Yeah,
go check out this trailer too. Project M is a new game from NCSoft. They're calling it one of their biggest projects of all time. Actually, I think they did say it's their biggest project of all time. You guys got to go see this game. This game, NCSoft, they're not a little dev. Okay, they know what they're doing over there, but they're trying to push. Again, the Eastern devs sometimes can be behind the times, but you're seeing a lot of them trying to come forward. Bandai Namco, which we always talk about all the time. NCSoft is another one. PlayOn, Nacon. All these guys over in the East are really trying to come to play with some different stuff. Go check out Project M. It's got some Matrix to it, but this game looks like it's going to be cool as hell. I cannot wait for Project M. That was another great thing that came out of GDC this week as well. So go check that out. I think that's all I got for GDC. Pretty sure that's all I got for GDC. Matt, what else you got on the plate? You got anything else you want to touch on?
We could there's a couple games that we noticed earlier today. Before our show started.
For future game show.
Yeah, we could mention.
We've been talking so long, I totally forgot we were watching.
There's pretty much two that I had my eye on from the future game show, which we were watching both before this, and that was Miasma.
We went for an hour and a half, folks. By the way, so
Miasma, which is like another tactics looking style game, looked pretty damn cool. It's coming to Xbox and PlayStation and everything in May of this year,
May 23rd. And this is from for anybody a little background. This is from the same devs who did the Mutant Year Zero game. If you guys remember, not everybody played Mutant Year Zero. It's a strategy game, shocking, but it was weird because it had like a duck, it had like a boar, and it had one other character. I can't remember what it was, but you're like humanoid animals in this weird world fighting. It was XCOM style, but you're fighting these enemies. Extremely good. I played a lot of it on PlayStation, but anyways, that's who's making this Miasma one. Miasma Chronicles is coming out May 23rd, like Mav said. So go check that out.
Yeah. And then Shadow Gambit is coming this year as well. I don't remember the name of that last game that we saw. That.
Oh, you're talking about the Stranded Alien Dawn?
Yeah, Stranded Alien Dawn. Yeah, that looked pretty cool too. I think all three of those are on console. I'm not sure about Stranded Alien Dawn. Was that? I think that's at Xbox.
I think it's at Xbox.
Maybe even soon, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, future game show is pretty cool.
It was. Again, people skip these, but if you're a gamer and you're like me and Mav, and you do graze a lot, and you don't care about the number of A's in front of a game all the time, and you're looking for the low key ones, the double A stuff that not everybody's going to be talking about, go watch the future game shows. And this was their spring showcase. I got to say, on top of what Mav just shouted out, they showed off Witchfire again.
Yeah,
I want this
impressive. Game. It's only on PC though, man.
It's only on PC right now, but they've got to bring this to console. Man, this is a console game through and through. This looks fantastic. Every time I see it, it looks better. Today they concentrated on the spells. It's a first-person shooter with spells. If you guys haven't seen Witchfire, go check out this latest video because it's freaking amazing. Ravenbound. This looks awesome. Open world roguelike game, right? With cards. It has a card system to it. So after I loved Midnight Suns so much, and I like other cards games too, I'm okay with cards. So, but this is going to be an open world roguelite that's coming out on March the 30th. But that one right now is also only on PC and Steam. So go check that one out. What else did I have? I got them all written down here. But there was a couple other ones that I want to get into. They showed off Hyenas, first little gameplay clip that we've seen of Hyenas, which is coming from Creative Assembly. That's that one where they're going to have anti-gravity parts of it. First-person shooter. Looks kind of cool. They did show off a little bit of gameplay that looked pretty... It's got a totally different aesthetic, art style-wise than I thought it was. And I like the colors. They got these muted pastel kind of colors to the game, too. Just look kind of cool. So go check out that as well. Did you shout out Shadow Gambit?
Yeah, Shadow Gambit, made from the people that made Shadow Tactics and Desperados.
Yes.
3.
This one is with pirates.
Yeah, looks pretty cool.
Automatic thumbs up. If you got pirates, I'm cool.
More tactics games for the win.
They had a nice VR showcase in there with some actually interesting games. Again, no VR game has said to me that I absolutely have to buy VR yet to play it. And that includes Half-Life Alyx. No VR game has said I need to go spend money on VR yet. There's plenty of games I would like to try. But they did have one cool one in this that was Lo-Fi. It's called Lo-Fi. Go check out this video. If you like Blade Runner, go check this video out. They're making a VR game basically set in the Blade Runner universe. I mean, the cop cars look almost exactly like Blade Runner cop cars where you play an actual police officer. But they got all the neon. They got everything you would expect in a cyberpunk game. Looks phenomenal. Again, not something I go, oh my God, I got to have VR. But definitely one I would have on my list to try. So for all of you that have VR out there, go check that out. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Oh, man. Wrote down every single thing, too. I think that's pretty much it. There's a lot of interesting games in here. I'm just, again, I could sit here all night and talk about the ones that I did write down here. Fort Solace. A lot of people were looking forward to Fort Solace. That's the new game with Troy Baker. It's a Mars adventure. It's got a bunch of other big voice actors in it as well. But Troy Baker is obviously always the headline. We saw this game last year, PC only at the time. Interesting enough, now coming to PS5. No Xbox, but coming to PS5. So I don't know if Sony got in on that or not, but Fort Solace, they showed it off today. Still looking really cool. Mars adventure with some psychological horror to it. Of course, things go absolutely wrong. There's a bunch of weird stuff that happens. Fort Solace is looking really good too. Hopefully we get to see more of that. Maybe it will come to Xbox. The Axis Unseen. You've probably seen this guy on Twitter. Former Bethesda dev. Worked on Skyrim. He's now an indie dev by himself. And he's creating a game that he's trying to bring back the old, like Morrowind feel of Bethesda games. And he's got this open world exploration kind of survival game that he's bringing out where bow is your main weapon. Very interesting, especially from an individual guy. So go check out the Axis Unseen. That was another one I want to shout out there too as well. Otherwise, there's a bunch of crazy stuff in here, man. There was Pizza Possum. Pizza Possum looked great. You're a possum that runs around and steals food, and you got to eat it while getting chased. Totally cartoonish, but looked fun as hell. Who makes a possum game? Anyways, so yeah, that was Jigga Game Show.
Jigga J had a $2 super chat. He asked,
"Oh, Jigga, what's going on, brother?"
He asked, "Have you heard any news on that game Routine?"
Routine.
I don't remember. There's like a fucking million games out there now.
Not replacement. Not replacement.
Replaced.
Replaced. I mean, that's what I meant. Replaced.
I remember that. I think there was a game called Routine. I just don't remember what it is.
Let me look it up real quick and see if it sparks my memory. Routine game. Oh, I don't need the definition.
Routine game.
Routine on Steam. Oh, that's that stupid one. Is that the one with the shark? With the robot, the psychotic robot with the shark teeth?
Yes,
map,
that is.
Where it eats people.
Yeah.
Where I said, why? Why? The robot's already scary enough. Why do you got to give it shark teeth? And why does it have to want to eat humans? Yes. No. I don't want to know anything more about that game.
Yeah, I don't think there's been any news on it anyway.
So. No, there has not been any news on it. But it looked crazy and it looked scary as hell. And I'm out. Steel was out instantaneously where we were doing the show. That was last year.
Yeah.
That looks dumb. I hope you all love it. I hope you all poop your pants when you play it. I don't want any part of it.
I wanted to comment a little bit because the chat was talking earlier about my comments about Game Pass and the kind of the difference there with giving teams more time and all that kind of stuff. And
yes.
Nix was asking about like the investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like return on investment. What is it so far for Ninja Theory? He said because Bleeding Edge obviously wasn't a hit, but it's a different metric when you talk about subscription services than just turnaround game sales, right? That's the turnaround game sales is the easy way. You know, you have a development cost, put out a game. If your budget, if your sales exceed your money you make exceeds your budget, your profit, easy to measure, right? Subscription services is always different. That goes for movie subscriptions, Netflix, all these different subscription services, because you don't have a metric of sales for that. You have a metric of engagement, right? So Phil Spencer's talked about this. And the other thing with gaming is you have games that take 5-6 years to make, right? So it's really impossible to say 100% what the return is going to be for individual things. But overall, the more picture that I see it as is you have a bunch of different studios that have been acquired to pump out content for a subscription service, right? So you're going to see it's more of a cumulative effect and an overall budget, and it's going to be more about what the different games quality is and about the engagement that they drive when they launch. You can't really gauge anything on like it is not released a new game yet or this or there's so many different studios, right? So it's you can't just look at it as the old way of thinking. It's a completely different thing. The benefit of Game Pass, you also do sell games also, right? So it's not just limited to subscription. You're also accumulating sales that way. So you actually have a chance for a double on your returns or bigger returns, you know. But the biggest metric for Game Pass so far has been without all these first party games, they're still gaining traction. They're still gaining subscribers and they're still recording profit within Game Pass, and the revenue is still increasing with Game Pass, right? So all of those are good signs. And when all these pipeline of games start dropping, you're going to see that increase even more. And if it doesn't, if it flattens out and Game Pass doesn't grow anymore, despite all of this investment for all these different games, all these different things that are going to just be known to try and draw people in, kind of like marketing, right? Then that's when we can say, well, that ain't working, right? But it's way too early to say that because we haven't had the pipeline yet. And I think we're getting there this year. So we'll know next time they announce the numbers and of growth. And this is beyond just hardware ecosystem. It goes across all the different ecosystems all the places that Game Pass exists, right? It's just gonna be about the engagement of the games and how many people certain games may draw in accumulatively, not even necessarily just one game, but like what's their budget this year? How did was it successful? What games drew the more players in versus other games? And that's just how it's going to go. And that's the way the subscription services are. I mean, just in general, it's very different because you have your revenue, you have your budget, and as long as you're making more than you're spending, then you're okay, right? Overall, it's not just one game. No, you can't measure it as easy that way anymore.
It's reoccurring revenue, right? Reoccurring revenue versus one time. So so exactly. Sony has to wait on Naughty Dog. How long did it take them to make Last of Us 2? 6 years?
Yeah.
Was it 6?
Something like that.
So 6 years, Naughty Dog wasn't making any money. I mean, sure, they're still selling Last of Us 1 and all that kind of stuff, but I'm just saying they're not making any new money, right, off of any new games for 6 years. And they're paying, Sony's paying salaries, all that good stuff, right? Yeah. Development costs, all that. Last of Us 2 drops, right? They see that initial sale run, but their max profits don't happen. Their total max profits don't happen for 5-6 years down the road. With Xbox's version, Xbox doesn't look at it that way. That's not how the model works, right? So if they put out a game, let's say Starfield, and they see an increase in their subs of let's say 500,000 people sign up for Game Pass when Starfield drops, right? and let's say the average per person is $8. That just goes into the pool. Now, Microsoft's job as a subscription service is to maintain those people that dropped in. Correct. They're there. They have to make sure there's content outside of Starfield, even though Starfield is a different example because you can play hundreds of hours in Starfield, and some people will, so the subscription. But their job is, okay, Starfield brought us in 500,000 people. Now we want to retain X percentage of those 500,000 people because that money goes back into the pool. And that's a cumulative effect that continues to happen with reoccurring revenue.
Your budgets can get bigger because you also have more subscribers.
Correct. Just like we saw with Netflix. Look how Netflix started, right? Netflix started. Now they go out and they spend, how much do they spend on Stranger Things, man? This is something stupid for the last season.
I don't remember. It's ridiculous.
Stupid amount. Some ridiculous amount. That's because they built up that reoccurring revenue. And I know a lot of you going, well, of course, this is math. Like, I get it. I'm just saying that that's where people go wrong. It's hard to flip the switch from how long we've been in the old system in gaming, where it's, nope, X budget for game. And sure, there's still budgets, but X budget for game, publish, release, launch, and then hope that the sales get to, 5, 10, 15 million. And then you're making a lot of profit at that point. That doesn't happen with a Game Pass subscription anymore. It's a cumulative effect. It's a pool system versus an individual looking at that, right?
Yeah.
Now you see what happens with Sony too.
If Netflix only had Stranger Things, they would only have people subscribe, binge it, cancel the subscription.
Binge it, gone.
Right. So you got to have that constant pipeline of content.
That cumulative effect.
That's what it's all about.
It builds up over time.
So you
can't. And we see Sony.
Measure it one to one.
We see Sony's problem, right, Mav? That's why they're complaining about Call of Duty, whether real or not. And we know that they won't collapse if they don't have Call of Duty. But I do believe there's a portion of truth that they use revenue from Call of Duty to fund the next game, right? Because part of that's going to go into that funding. Because part of the profit that you get out of an individual game in the old system, let's first of all hope that you break even. But then once you start making profit, well, all that profit is already earmarked for the sequel or the next game from that studio. It's already earmarked. And then so you got to look at that budget and say, okay, well, now we've made this much profit, but they've got a budget of this for the next game. Well, that's all eaten up. Or, okay, so that's covered. Good. Yay. They can make their next game. And now we're making some profit on top of it. Again, the mentality is just completely different when you're thinking of a subscription service. That's all.
Yeah.
So
for sure. And the other question Fahim was asking about, talking about Xbox can start their own studios. They don't have to buy them. Yeah, they can. But why? If you got for me, if you got 1,000 developers out there and you see one you like and you understand what they're proven to be able to create, I would just rather acquire that studio, bring them into the fold. But that way you're not having to start from scratch, trying to develop a culture, trying to develop something that you don't know is going to be 100% success. And they've tried that. It doesn't work all the time. They have different models that they try. Initiative they started. It's worked for some. They started 343. They started the Initiative. They brought in studios and changed them, kind of like they did with the Coalition, right? But seems like it's been pretty successful so far, acquiring studios like Double Fine and Ninja Theory and In Exile, and we're about to see how it pays off. But one thing I've noticed from all these different studios is they've pretty much maintained their culture.
Yep.
In Exile still acts like In Exile, right?
Yes.
They still act like Double Fine, still doing the Double Fine thing. Ninja Theory is still showing up, showing out right now, like they're trying to do with all this stuff. So for me, it's like you have this variety of things that what they bring to the table, right? It's either IPs, it's assets of technology, it's development talent, it's studio heads that are great at management. It's a bunch of different facets that go into why to acquire a studio. And if I could do that, I would rather do that than start from scratch and have it take even way longer to get payoff, right?
And Sony buys all their studios too, or a lot of them, right? So what's the difference between buying a young studio and an established studio? Nothing outside of risk.
Yeah.
Right? And in business, if you have the ability to go buy an established studio versus a young studio, why wouldn't you go buy the established studio? Because you know what you're getting. Like
it's going to be more expensive. usually.
Right, it's less risk, right? It's going to be more expensive, correct? So you gotta pony up, but that's your benefit when you go do that. But Sony's bought tons of studios. Sure, you can say, well, they bought them when they were less. Well, yeah, but Microsoft, again, go look at all the articles.
Coalition wasn't Coalition when they were acquired.
No, but go look at all the facts. Even the established studios that they have bought, like an Obsidian,
they've grown.
They're growing it. They're allowing that studio to flourish, where that studio, unfortunately, due to being an independent studio with big risks from every game that came out, couldn't necessarily grow their studio. And if you want to say start from scratch, well, you think Microsoft is going to start a studio from scratch and go grab a bunch of inexperienced kids, developers straight out of college or straight out of their tech schools? Do you think they're going to do that and say, yeah, here's a AAA budget, go make some games? No. If they're going to start a studio, they're going to do what they did with the Initiative. And guess what, Fahim? They're going to go pull from all your favorite studios over at Sony.
Which they did with the Initiative.
Right. That's what they did with Initiative. They're going to go pull from the best of the best studios around the world. So what's the difference? The talent is still being pulled. Again, this argument is asinine to me, in my opinion. Because, again, as a business, there is no written rules that say you have to conduct business this way. You're only allowed to go make your own studios and develop games and then do it that way. Come on, man. This is business. This is money at the end of the day. If Microsoft has the money and they're taking all the risk by going and doing this, and that's the truth, they're taking all the risk, and the studio wants to be acquired, there has not been one studio that Microsoft has done a takeover of, okay? All these studios have been more than happy to get into talks with Microsoft and sign that dotted line. No, in fact, they've been so happy that many of the original they're right. Many of the original founders of these studios are still there with their studios. So these aren't hostile takeovers by Microsoft. These are studios that want to be acquired. Why do they want to be acquired? Because they know in many cases they are one bad game away from having to let go of people that they love, people that they have friendships with, people that they consider families, that have families of their own, that studio is supporting. They are more than happy to come underneath the umbrella of Microsoft and flourish and have the security blanket there. So again, they're not doing anything in like some nefarious manner here. This is business. It just so happens that Microsoft can do more than most companies, and that can't be held against them. That's it. Period.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what they all create and get all these games. Yeah. Like I said before, E3 this year, I think is going to be pretty special because I think we're going to get some big game announcements. Yes. And announce release dates or reveals or whatever. I think we're going to be in for a treat because we already know what to expect from certain things, but Starfield's doing a separate show for that. So maybe Forza will be part of this, maybe not, but I think the overall showcase will be something to be really excited about if you are curious about what these studios are going to bring to Xbox over time.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, I think
Lego 2K Drive, everybody too.
Ooh,
Lego Horizon's coming out too, by the way. I have zero interest, but whatever. I know a lot of people are going to be excited. So.
What, the Rally Horizon?
No. Lego and their racing game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2K Drive. It's called Lego 2K Drive.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and it's basically Lego Horizon. Basically, what?
Oh, is that what it looks like?
Lego.
Nice.
Yes, they're making a full. Well, it's got the full Lego experience in it. Right?
It's funny, so, Forza Horizon does Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels has their own game.
Yep.
They do Lego. Now Lego's doing their own game.
Their own game. Yep. So, but a lot of people are going to be excited for it. You can fly. You can transform mid. So you can. It's kind of like the Crew Mav, where you can transform into a plane or a boat or a car.
Right.
And you can drive. You can do all that like mid game, like
nice.
while you're doing. Yeah. So
is it kind of like kart racer style where you can shoot at each other and stuff?
No, it's wide open.
Okay. Interesting.
They didn't show any shooting. They showed people ramming each other off like the road and stuff, and cars breaking apart and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it looks like an open horizon type world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of people are gonna be excited though, for sure. Robust co-op experience, they said, along with competitive multiplayer up to 6 players. 2-player split screen will be available. So there you go. Lego 2K. Wow, Mav, hell of a 3.5 hours, bro.
It has been.
Ooh wee.
It's fucking hot in here. I'm sweating my balls off right
You're
now.
dying. You're dying.
Yeah.
When are you gonna get that fixed?
I'm in our big time argument with our builder and stuff right now. So
Yeah.
I'm fighting it. We'll see, man. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. It's too expensive. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
So it's both of our units. It's not just one.
It's
like both of our units in our pretty much like 4.5-year-old house, right? That we built. Both of our units went out for our house.
Right.
And parts under warranty, but not labor. And I gotta get all new refrigerant and stuff. So they want like thousands of dollars. It's fucking ridiculous. So I'm in a battle.
It's a racket.
With it. I saw a damn AC truck at the house across the street today. So I went and talked to them. I went to talk to my neighbor. I was like, what's going on with your AC? Huh? Like we got new houses. Yeah. You know, these things supposed to last 10, 15 years. You know, like what's up?
Class action.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm gonna get a class action lawsuit started against this fucking builder. Let's go.
Yep. Did you say this builder's had this problem?
The manufacturer for the AC has, because I looked it up after seeing what the coils were that were leaking in our in our AC. So I looked it up and I saw that they had a class action lawsuit against them in 2016, and they had settled, but settled without fault. Right, and they took care of everybody, and they just went to like, oh well, we admit no wrongdoing here. The product's fine, but we'll take care of you. Continue selling the same damn fucking coils. Right. And those are what's in my units, I think, because they both have the same exact problems that the other people had the class action lawsuit.
Yep, it's time for another one. Yeah, I'm telling you.
4.5 years old, brand new. I don't know, man, crazy. If it was one thing, I would be like more like understanding, but both,
right?
Come on.
Yep. All right, Mav, let's get everybody out of here. Listen, man, this has been a great show. Again, congrats. 3K hit live during the show. Congrats to you and Caitlin and the Fun Speculation Network. Chat, you guys are obviously the reason why that happened. It's not Mav creating 3K of false names and subscribing to his own channel. Okay, he's not making fake accounts and subscribing. So it's all of you out there, and thank you all for joining us. Nearly 200 people dropped in tonight to listen to me and Mav rant and rave about different topics. Have a good time. We hope you enjoyed it. So thank you for joining us. PM in the PM again on another Thursday night. 100% all you, all love, all respect. Mav, we got Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night. What else you got going on this week? We're going to have Diablo open beta. I'm sure you're going to be streaming it. I don't know what my weekend looks like, but I'll be jumping in at some point. So what's going on, Mav? What's happening?
Well, tomorrow, like you said, tomorrow night we got Xbox Ultimate Podcast, the show that started it all for this channel. Episode 130 something, I think, tomorrow. Crazy, bro. Crazy. Again, thanks to everybody for helping getting that push to 3K. Now we're on to 3K and beyond. We'll see what we can achieve here. Thanks to the amazing community and chat that we got. Appreciate each and every one of you that takes part in the now known as Fun Speculation Network. You guys all rock. Love you, chat. And Monday we'll be back for FSP, Fun Speculation Podcast, at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And then every Thursday here, 7 p.m. Eastern. And look for some Diablo this weekend, because there will be a lot of it. I'm rocking the Druid, and I'm looking forward to it.
You're going Druid, huh?
Going Druid. Yeah, I'm going to be one with nature.
All right. So Necro and Druid are already taken. That leaves me with going back to my old class Sorcerer maybe this weekend. Maybe. I might double up with you and do Druid too, though.
Okay. Yeah,
I have some interest in maybe doing it.
I mean, I could rock Rogue, maybe. You know, I haven't tried it yet, but
you do what you want.
Yeah, I'm interested in the
Psycho
Druid.
Rock Rogues. Yeah, me and Psycho Rock Rogues. We can do a 2 class. That's not a problem. I just want to try out Druid. I've never tried Druid once, so I would be interested in doing that. All right, everybody, let's get you out of here. So again, thank you all for being here. Again, shout out to all of you. And you can check me out, Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter. Tomorrow night, I'll be joining Xbox Ultimate. You know that. So be there, as Mav said. And of course, Saturday mornings, we are back. We took a weekend off. My brother from another Steel Rain went and did some motorcycling, hit the motorcycle club, and did all that fun stuff. Shout out to him. I had a nice, relaxing day of Diablo once I got a couple things done. But we are back this week. So living split screen Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. We got a lot to talk about. Steele and I actually have some different opinions we're going to get into. We're going to have a fun conversation, 3+ hours. Buckle up. It's probably going to go 4 unless something comes up. You know how we rock out there. So we are at almost 800 subscribers. So if any of you out there listen to this show, enjoy what you're hearing here, come see me and Steele on Saturday morning and think about subscribing because we are on mission 1K. That's a big marker, as you all know, for YouTube. So we'd love to hit that this year. That's what we're shooting for. You know, Steele put it up as our goal for 3Ks, 2K, 3K, whatever it was at the beginning of the year. But we just want to get to 1K first. So hop on over there Saturday morning and check us out. We're going to talk live, raw, and uncut, bring a lot of energy to your weekend. And then, of course, Saturday nights, I'm also on the Shop podcast with PTK Blam, Fuzzy Belvedere, and I, of course, will all be there. We are now on the new old hours because PTK is in Arizona, so he doesn't change over. So it is now 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Be there. It is a fun show on Saturday nights, and it's the best way to end your night. PTK is just an awesome host. So be there for the Shop podcast. And then otherwise, next week, it starts all over again. Tuesdays, Xbox Factor Podcast, All Good Things Green, Boomstick, Double Barrel. Gaming is the place, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. And then, of course, right back here Thursday night for PM in the PM. Pong and Mav in the PM, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Listen, folks, it is the golden age of gaming. And Mav and I are going to have an entire show at some point this year with strategy game talk. We are going to do that. RTS, strategy, tactic. We're going to talk it all. But it's the golden age of gaming. And if you're not into those games, there's hundreds of games coming out for all the rest of you. So get out there. Have a great Friday. Start your weekend off right. Play what you love. Love what you play. And I'm going to talk to you all real soon tomorrow night on Xbox Ultimate. Thank you for being here. Mav, Mr. 3K, get us out of here.
Appreciate you all. You all rock. Have a good one. Night.